Yeah, because they weren't doing it. We're good? Okay, hello? Hello?
Very own, bang the gavel.
Whoa.
It's our new gavel.
They had to get a bigger gavel.
All right. Oh, no. The alarm's going off?
Nope.
Okay.
Back chatter.
Thought they're going to run out. Welcome to the September 18th, 2024 Select Board meeting. We're going to start our meeting with a moment of silence. Today we lost Don House, 19 years servant, amazing man. Now, if you'll join me, please, in the Pledge of Allegiance, if the fire department can lead the pledge. And we are being recorded. We're just gonna briefly start with public comment. Is there anyone here that has a public comment? Could you please come to the mic and give your name and your precinct? Thank you.
Hi, good evening. Eric Schneider, 480 Puritan Road, Precinct 5. I'm here tonight to comment about pedestrian safety, specifically the Atlantic-Humphrey Street intersection. We all know that this intersection is dangerous. At the last Select Board meeting, the police chief even labeled it a kill zone in an effort to emphasize how dangerous he thought that intersection was. As the chief discussed, the dangerousness comes from its design, featuring obstructed sightlines, high speeds, high volume, and odd intersection angles, all before the pedestrian crosswalk. I have 3 children in the public schools, 2 at the Swampscott Elementary School, 1 at the middle school. Like several dozen other children, they cross this intersection daily. Many other residents, old and young, use it as well. While the crossing guard and additional police presence during the pickup and drop-off time at the school has helped, they do not solve the fundamental design failure of this intersection. My family had hoped that this intersection would be addressed as part of the new school. In fact, 3 design options were developed by a traffic consultant and presented at the June 11th traffic meeting. However, we're not aware of any further movement or decision on fixing this dangerous intersection. I hope that my comment tonight brings this issue to the forefront, and I look forward to seeing this on the agenda at the next Select Board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Is there anyone else here for public comment? Okay, seeing none. Oh, thank you. Mr. Demento, could you please give your precinct?
One second. Bill, you should be able to talk.
Precinct 6, 1008 Paradise Road, Bill Demento. My comment tonight is to request the Select Board not to make the same mistake the last time there was a controversy within the executive branch of the town when one member of the Board of Selectmen and the Assistant Town Administrator served as an investigative body and reported back to that same board the results of their investigation. There is a controversy right now with Member Grishman and the Board of Assessors. In my view, and I think by a great majority of the people in this town, are asking and strongly requesting that you have an outside, impartial investigator look at that whole situation as to what's going on to see if there was any undue influence or targeting or anything else dealing between the Board of Selectmen, the Town Administrator, and the Board of Assessors. That is why I'm here tonight to ask you, don't do it again. You won't get away with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Demento. Is there anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, we will move to new business. We'll start with the reading of the proclamation for the National Hispanic Month by Mr. Thompson.
All right, National Hispanic Heritage Month, proclamation by the Select Board. Whereas each year Americans observe National Hispanic Heritage Month by celebrating the histories, cultures, and contributions of American citizens whose ancestors came from Spain, Mexico, the Caribbean, Central and South America, and whereas for the first time in our town's history, we recognize Hispanic people here and anywhere in the United States as we pay respect to the cultures and populations and celebrate the contributions of all Hispanic peoples to the culture of diversity, innovation, and resilience that has had an indelible impact on the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the United States. And whereas the observation started in 1968 as Hispanic Heritage Week under President Lyndon B. Johnson and was expanded by President Ronald Reagan in 1988 through the legislative encouragement of Congressmember Esteban Torres of California to cover the period at which it is celebrated today. And whereas nearly 480 years ago, recorded Hispanic heritage has been a part of the DNA of American culture with undeniable influence in education, public safety, infrastructure, economic development, culinary arts, and governance. And whereas in the words of Cesar Chavez, preservation of one's own culture does not require contempt or disrespect for other cultures, end quote, and thus celebrate the contributions of the robust Hispanic diaspora, to include Spain, Puerto Rico, Costa Rica, Guatemala, Honduras, Nicaragua, Panama, El Salvador, Bolivia, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Paraguay, Peru, Uruguay, Venezuela, and now therefore on behalf of the entire Select Board, we do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2024 as National Hispanic Heritage Month in the town of Swampscott, Massachusetts, and encourage all faith-based and nonprofit organizations, residents, businesses, and public institutions to acknowledge, honor, value, and celebrate Hispanic people's historic and current contributions locally and beyond, while also recognizing the ongoing interconnected struggles of all Hispanic communities locally and beyond. In witness whereof, we have hereto set our hands and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the town of Swampscott, Massachusetts, this 18th day of September 2024, the Swampscott Select Board.
All right. Okay, now next on our agenda, we're very excited to recognize two amazing gentlemen, Captain James Snow and Deputy Chief James Potts, for their many years of service to the town. We'll have our Chief, Graham Archer, give us some kind words here.
Thank you, Chairperson Fletcher. Hello, good evening, everyone. We're on a really happy occasion tonight. We are recognizing the achievement of some firefighters. We're recognizing the swearing in of a brand new firefighter, and we're honoring the legacy of service of two long-serving members of our department, recently retired. That's, as Mary Ellen said, Captain James Snow and Deputy Chief James Potts. Jim Potts came to us in the early 90s in the wake of an economic downturn which saw firefighters across the state losing their jobs, being laid off. In the tradition of firefighting, we had a statewide understanding that we firefighters would pick up other laid-off firefighters before we hired new people. So we had a lot of firefighters come through the Swampscott fire department in the early 90s. People from Gloucester, Lawrence, Lynn, Malden. Swampscott was doing, as it is now, it was doing particularly well at that time. When other people were laying off, we were holding our own and even hiring. We took these people on, knowing full well that they might likely go back to their own departments, which is what most of them did when things settled back down. Jim stayed, though. Jim stayed, and we're happy that he did. He made a career of the Swampscott Fire Department. Jim rose through the ranks, combining his decades of experience teaching at the Massachusetts Firefighting Academy with a real-world understanding of the job of firefighting, and he became a true asset to the department, ultimately rising to the rank of Deputy Chief. He's our He was our code enforcement officer, fire prevention officer, and he's just was a wealth of knowledge that we're struggling right now to replace. Jim Snow worked in the fire department for a length. He had a tenure that's rarely been matched, and it's rarely going to be matched. Jim was there just shy of 40 years.
Finished 40 and a half.
He finished 40 and a half. He finished just over 40 years with the fire department. Red Delano might have matched him. Kevin Breen might have matched him. There are not a lot of other people. I'm going to catch you, but there are not a lot of people that have matched that. Jim grew up in Swampscott, and he spent much of his time in the department as a union official, ultimately becoming the union president for many years. He was the president of local IAFF Local 1459. After many years of seeing new hires come on and rise through the ranks, Jim got into the books. He cracked the books and soon found he had an aptitude as a fire officer, and he quickly rose and became a captain. Before long, he was sharing his experience in that role, and he closed out the role in the rank of captain. These two gentlemen are a tremendous loss of experience and knowledge to our department, and we're as I said, we're going to make it, but we're struggling to replace that degree of experience and knowledge. So let's hear something.
Captain Snow, if you don't mind, come on down. We'd like to give you an official citation of appreciation and recognition for your 40-plus years of service in the town of Swampscott. Thank you. So, for our next round of, I thought you were going to read it first. Okay. We'll do the deputy chief first. So, Deputy Chief Potts, Town of Swampscott, I'd like to give you an official citation of appreciation and recognition for your over 32 years of service in the Town of Swampscott. Thank you.
Oh, picture.
All right, out with the old.
Okay, so we're now moving on to item number 3, the swearing in of our fire captain, Michael LeBlanc, Lieutenant Michael Bagnell, and the new firefighter, Bethany Dudley. It was a great night, huh?
It's a great night. It's a great night. We love these nights. It's we get to acknowledge people's achievement and welcome new firefighters. In the 25 years I've worked with Mike LeBlanc, I've never once seen him anything less than enthusiastic about his job. I've never seen him not show up ready to go to work. Mike's passion for public service is infectious. He is determined to extract every bit of enjoyment out of his time at work and being with his team. Mike has an abiding love for the town of Swampscott, and he is deeply connected to our residents. It's a very rare day working with him that you don't encounter someone or a parent of someone he coached. That now includes firefighters he works alongside. Along the way, Mike has earned the respect of his coworkers, He is a go-to source for information about the department, as well as historical reference regarding the past quarter century of department history. I know it has snuck up on him, but somehow Mike LeBlanc now inhabits the role of one of our senior leaders and old hands in our department. I know his wife Amy, his daughters Courtney and Ashley, and his son-in-law Kaleem are all justifiably proud of him. Mike Bagnell. Simply put, Mike Bagnell is one of the sharpest minds of any firefighter I've ever worked with. It often goes unnoticed in the noise of the firehouse as we discuss, argue, and solve the problems of the world and the town, that Mike is just sitting quietly at the end of the table, thinking deeply and observing. He will then, at times, distill the entire conversation down into a few clear and simple points which may have been lost in all the noise. 16 years ago, Mike came to us having been a 911 dispatcher, and he still possesses the critical skill which all good dispatchers have to visualize a situation, assess in which direction is trending, and identify what resources might be needed to bring an event to a successful conclusion. Keep an eye on Mike Bagnell. I don't think he's anywhere near done growing as a firefighter. Bethany Dudley. It would be very understandable if Bethany developed an outsized ego at this point. After all, when we enlisted her, she had options of employment with two other outstanding agencies, the Linfield Fire Department and Boston EMS. Beth excelled at both Boston EMS and Massachusetts State Firefighting Academies, and it would be understandable if she did develop that ego, but that would not be Beth. Beth comes to work humble and eager to work. In the short time she's been with us, she has been so completely adopted by her shift, it is hard to imagine Group 3 without her. These are our three recognitions for this evening. If you guys would step up here. Jared, you want them down there? I'm sorry. Also, pinning them for Beth Dudley will be a friend and academy classmate and Linfield firefighter Brendan, Mike's wife Amy, and Mike Bagnell's daughter Addie.
So I have two different notes for tonight. We'll do Beth's first and then the promotion. Yeah, that sounds great. So Beth, you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Bethany Dudley,
Being appointed a member of the Swampscott Fire Department
being appointed a member of the Swampscott Fire Department,
and having read the rules, regulations, and amendments
and having read the rules, regulations, and amendments
of the Swampscott Fire Department,
of the Swampscott Fire Department,
hereby agree to abide and conform with all the rules and regulations established
hereby agree to abide to all the rules and regulations established,
and to any other general
and to any other general
or special orders
or special orders
hereafter issued,
and
shall be subject to the penalties
subject to the penalties
therein provided for. I state your name.
I, Bethany Dudley,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
as well as the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
as well as the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
and the bylaws of the town of Swampscott,
and the bylaws of the town of Swampscott,
and that I will, to the best of my abilities,
and that I will, to the best of my abilities,
discharge the duties as a member of the Swampscott Fire Department.
discharge the duties as a member of the Swampscott Fire Department.
Now for the two promotions. I state your name.
I, Michael LeBlanc,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially,
will faithfully and impartially,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
discharge the duties of
discharge the duties of
position,
lieutenant,
and the Swampscott Fire Department.
Swampscott Fire Department.
Additionally,
Additionally,
I will abide by and enforce
I will abide by and enforce
all the rules, regulations, and procedures
all the rules, regulations, and procedures
of the Swampscott Fire Department.
of the Swampscott Fire Department.
I state your name.
I, Michael LeBlanc,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear and affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
as well as the Constitution of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts
as well as the Constitution of
Constitution.
Constitution of Massachusetts
and the bylaws of the town of Swampscott,
and the bylaws of the town of Swampscott,
and that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my abilities,
to the best of my abilities,
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
as a member of the Swampscott Fire Department.
as a member of the Swampscott Fire Department.
Captain, Lieutenant, would you take a moment to say a few words?
Yes, I would like to thank Sean, the chief, the Board of Selectmen, for giving me the opportunity to give back to my community. You know, I'm very excited about doing that. I've been on 25 years, and, you know, I learned from, you know, the senior guys. I learned from, you know, Captain Snow and Jim Potts and some of the other, you know, senior guys, and I want to pass that on to the, you know, younger generation. You know, I got Bethany in my group, brand new. I'm excited about that, and I just, you know, I'm excited to give back to the community.
Terrific.
Ditto.
Lieutenant?
Very much, Chief. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
All right, so I guess a few words. Is definitely pretty clear. Would you like to say anything else, Chief, before we wrap it up?
Oh, good. Thank you, the Select Board, for your time, for inviting us to be here. It really means a lot that you guys take the time to recognize these achievements. Thank you.
You did it. You do a great job, Chief. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. We'll give everybody a second.
That's the furthest.
Okay, next on our agenda, we have the appointment of our new town assessor, John Paul, oh, I'm sorry, how do you say your last name, Mr.? Plouffe. Plouffe. John Paul Plouffe.
Good evening.
Sean?
Yes, I'm very happy to present Mr. Plouffe. Jean-Paul comes to Swampscott after a lifetime of achievement with appraisals and municipal assessing. Jean-Paul has spent a lifetime really working in real estate. He has a tremendous amount of experience. He is recommended unanimously by our Board of Assessors after meeting with him and conducting the initial screening. I really do feel as though John, has every bit of experience to help us. He has worked in communities that have been similar and larger, and so I think he has the background to really address some of the issues that we're dealing with. With that, John Paul, would you share a little bit about your background? And
I've been doing property valuation for 35 years, the last 24, 25 as assessor, 2 years in West Newbury, and the last 21 or so in the town of Westford. After being an assistant assessor there for a year, I was appointed as the principal assessor. and that's where I just stayed afterwards. I was very happy in Westford. It's close to home. I was familiar with the town. I retired 3 years ago, and I'm finding that getting a little bit bored. So I started to look for something part-time to do, and Swampscott just happened to come across when I was looking around, and I figured, well, it's kind of what I know. It's what I've been doing. I think I can bring something to the town. I certainly think I can, produce what you need done here. In terms of part of my career, I always felt my job was to recommend and to the Board of Assessors different things that need to be done with abatements or whatnot, kind of more advisory. I don't play politics. People come in, even when I was in Westford, probably accusing me of, playing politics, and my answer to them was, one, I didn't know who they were and I didn't care, but for me, they were real estate. And really, for the most part, that's what my function is. It's valuing real and personal property to determine what everyone's piece of the pie is, and of course, that piece of the pie is the tax levy, and which is a part of the budget, and which I or the Board of Assessors has no control over. So over a period of a lot of years, most people, I think, in Westford finally began to understand that. One woman actually told me she started going to town meetings and FinCom meetings because of me, because it wasn't enough to complain about what's going on if you're not going to become involved. And that's the only way to learn what municipal government is all about.
Terrific. Thank you, John. Any questions from the board?
No questions from me. Just thank you very much
Sure, welcome.
for coming in.
Yes.
Same number of hours as we've had in the past?
Same number of hours. We're going to work with John Paul. Right now, there are some weeks that are busier than others, and so there's a degree of flexibility. Certainly, we're always kind of open to really just seeing how things work, but.
Yeah, average of 15 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm retired, I'm allowed to work up to 1,200 hours a year. And after that, it affects my retirement and everything else. So 15 hours a week puts me around 750.
That's right.
Which is a happy number for me.
That's right. So that basically is what we've been doing.
Yep.
And I think, after the first couple of months, we can circle back around and just see how things are.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Patriot Properties. I've worked with them in Westford, and I'm familiar with the owners, although the business has been sold, and a lot of the people that work there. So this is not anything new for me. We had Patriots Assess Pro in Westford, and we have that here. So it's just kind of getting familiar with the little nuances of your system versus what I have in Westford.
Do you have a far commute?
I live in Reading. I lived in Drayton. I grew up in Lowell. We grew up in Lowell, and we lived in Drayton for 40 years. And when I retired, things changed. My wife and I looked at each other and said, let's get rid of the house, which we did. My daughter moved to Wakefield with my 4 beautiful grandchildren. So we are there helping them, and this is kind of what we're doing. The 3 oldest and the 3 oldest ones are now in school. So the little guy now goes to daycare. So, but in between helping them in the morning and then doing something later on, it's kind of a big stretch for me. And I'm finding I go in a market basket on a daily basis. So I just kind of really feel I need to be doing something. And it really didn't matter what, as long as I was just kind of keeping myself busy.
Does this mean you're trying to get out of going to Market Basket?
Yeah.
Or you're just going to hit Market
You're not going to
Basket
be
on the
able
way
to get
home?
all those
We sold the
deals.
house and rented an apartment. And what's nice is I don't have to do anything.
Right.
But also, what's not nice is I have nothing to do.
Yeah.
So I think a little side job would probably do well.
Well, great. Welcome to Swampscott.
Sure, thank you.
So I'll need a vote from the board to confirm the recommendation.
So can we have a motion to confirm the recommendation?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
All right, congrats, John.
Welcome.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Okay, moving along. Discussion and possible votes Excuse me, discussion and possible vote on the Votes Act requirements for town hall early, I did?
Yep, one above it.
Grant.
Discussion on the
Number 5. My number 5 is discussion and possible votes.
grant. Isn't
No,
it 5 on the?
grant. The lighting grant.
I have a different one. Okay, discussion on $224,000 grant opportunity for lighting with future request for warrant article funding. This is just a discussion, okay? And we have a special guest, Mr. Joe Dulett.
Hi.
If you could come to the mic, Mr. Dulett. Oh, you have a mic,
Brought his
okay.
own.
I got myself mic'd up. I'm here with Max as well. Max and I have been working on this for the past several years, and you guys have been very supportive about this whole project. It's moving forward. Acoustics going in relatively soon. Audio and speakers are going in relatively soon. Lighting was on the capital improvement plan for next year for about $453,000. I'm going to just give you the kind of the quick what's happening. And National Grid came to us late in the summer, mid to late summer, and said, hey, we can fund 50% of this, but you have to have it done by December 31st. So Max and I have been kind of scrambling, trying to figure out if there's any path to this, which is why we're here in front of you today. So the ultimate revised cost of the town will be $229,000, but again, it has to be complete by December 31st. So one strategy is to get this on a special town meeting warrant to fund that. The issue is that in order to have it done by December 31st, all the parts have to be ordered before there'll be a special town meeting. So there's the tricky part of this. So just quick timeline on this. If there's even a possibility for this, and I recognize that this is a long shot just because of the potential complexities. We did reach out to the town administration and to various committees to just see what the feeling would be to do this. Everyone seems supportive of it, but there's how we get this done is the next part, which is consider the feasibility. We would need to order the supplies within the next week or so in order for them to be in time for the installation to happen, to be completed by December 31st. We do have a couple of times in the auditorium booked, so getting the project done seems like it's doable as long as the stuff gets ordered within the time that we have. Special town meeting, if it happens in November, December, if that does get approved, then that does then take the entire amount, fund it, and then we would pay National Grid our share, and they would pay the other share, and it would be complete. So I'm sure there's many questions. Max and I have been going back and forth on this. A couple of things, just in case these are questions. If it can happen, what happens if the town meeting approves this later than project completion? Say there's not a special town meeting till, say, January or something. Part of National Grid's incentive is this goes on to OBR, so they actually pay for the entire project, and then we pay them back at a 0% financing for 5 years. So our payments until we do get the funding are around $3,500 a month, but then we can pay off the full amount at any time with no penalty. So National Grid is basically paying for this project, and we're paying them back on our electric bill. We've done projects with them like this in the past. The other question that came up, I'll throw this out, what happens if we can't take advantage of this 50% incentive from National Grid? Next year, there might be an incentive that would be closer to 5 or 10%, so it's not, nothing. It would be a $45,000 incentive. And then Marzi and I have been looking at other kind of audience development grants through the Mass Cultural Council. So that's my 2-minute pitch, but we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Where are the parts coming from?
Well, that would depend on the vendor. You mean geographically or in terms of business? I don't know. There's a person that does this and orders these parts, and he says, we would need to order these within the next couple of weeks in order to get them in time to install.
I think what I'm really trying to understand is, are these parts available? Is this likely that parts are available, they can get shipped in here, or is this something where you're going to have maybe 20% of your parts can't get in, and then the whole project is just...
The person that designed the system has made calls to the suppliers, and he has assured us that the parts are available. We just need to order them within this time frame.
And Joe, what's the install process? How many days are folks going to or need to be in the auditorium? just kind of give us a timeline there, or your best estimate.
Well, there's demolition, so there's pulling out the entire electrical system. Then there's installing the new electric system. Then there's hanging the rigging of the lights, and then there's installation and programming of the lights. So I would imagine a week of install. He did a smaller project in our studio, and he did it in 2 days.
Yeah.
That was obviously a tinier project, but I would say a week. He can work around the auditorium schedule and Mr. Pierce's needs. So getting in the theater in the time frame of up to December 31st is doable if parts are ordered by the beginning of October. So like 2 months to order, to come in, to start the work, and then to install. He is very confident in that can be done.
So what is, I wasn't here when this whole conversation started, just very simply, like, what is the need for this in terms of, like, are the lights, like, defective, not very good, not very energy efficient? Like, what's the real driver?
The driver from National Grid is that we have an outdated, inefficient, incandescent light system that are hard to maneuver. They're maneuverable because people have been using these for years, but they want to move everybody industrially, large businesses, industries over to LED. So this is kind of their last year of the incentive for large businesses. We fall under that. They call it a commercial and industrial customer. For us, our lighting system is outdated. It's not made anymore. If anything goes wrong with it, then we would need to replace it. So we're kind of in that, we don't know when it's going to go, and if something does go, trying to get it repaired or getting parts would be complicated. So my conversations with capital improvement has been, let's kind of pre-do this. Since we're doing a whole auditorium upgrade, why don't we just do the whole thing? And Max has been very supportive. Let's just get that auditorium done and be done with it for the next 15, 20 years. So that's been kind of our internal desire, is that we don't want to wait till it goes, because in the middle of one of Jim's plays, the lights go out, and it's not a murder mystery. It's a financial mystery at that point.
Do we expect to save money?
There would be a cost savings on the use of the lights. So I got a very kind of not super complicated, but email from the vendor talking about the usage and the efficiencies of it. I wasn't able to decipher it into like a year, but if they were used at full, his number was around $30,000 of savings a year. We probably don't use them to that extent, but it would be in the thousands. We do use them on a weekly basis during the school year, and then during play time, they're on for kind of 2 weeks during dress rehearsals, tech week, and performances. So there's thousands, at least 4 figures of savings a year on the LED switch.
And what was the amount? My last question.
Sorry.
3,500 was what for? Was it 3,500? Next slide.
Oh, sorry. This would be if it didn't get funded. So say all these pieces got in place and we got it on an article, a warrant article, and then for some reason the town said no. We would be on the hook for $3,500 a month for 5 years. It's a 0% 5-year kind of loan from National Grid. So that's kind of worst case scenario if we get through all this, but then town meeting says nope. We would still have to, it's around like 40,000.
To add to that,
Yep.
The reason we would even be in a position to advance the project without an appropriation is that we have the National Grid incentives and a commitment from National Grid to fund it on OBR. But with OBR, there's a significant impact to the operating budget, $3,500 a month. So that's why they would be looking to have capital sort of come in and level that out. But the OBR is critical because without OBR, on-bill repayment, we wouldn't be in a position to start this project as swiftly as we would need to. We couldn't order pieces for a project months ahead of town meeting in anticipation without a special maneuver.
We have this as a backup strategy, if not, right,
Yeah.
the OBR, yeah.
And the other
I'm
backups.
not sure why we wouldn't consider using this.
OBR.
It's a 0%
Go
loan.
do
Like,
OBR
This
instead.
is
Yeah.
recently
We have to
come
look
to
at
light,
it.
unintended.
Right.
Literally 24 hours, or little more than that. And so we're looking at it, and I've had conversations with Max and with Joe. I want to applaud them for looking at an opportunity to actually help the town get $200,000+. This is really a wonderful program, but we have rules to follow, not just with a grant program for National Grid, but for municipal finance. Like, we have procurement laws that we have to follow. This is a major project, and we have to really be careful with it. There are opportunities for us to kind of think about this and really strategize. We have a big budget. We have a lot of flexibility, but we may have to come back and have another conversation about a game plan. Tonight, we want to get a sense from the board. Is this something that you would support if we could actually pull this together and come up with a strategy that we could go to a special town meeting sometime late November, early December? We may have to decide sooner about allocating some operating budget. And there may be a need to have a conversation among a number of town departments to do that. That said, the town does have some budgets that we could rely on. I'm not sure, that at this point in the fiscal year, relying on those sources would be the most prudent thing to do. I do think going to a special town meeting and perhaps seeking a supplemental appropriation, either through free cash or through debt service, would help secure our budgets through the rest of the fiscal year. These are the things that we have to kind of work out. We did talk about the payback. It is interesting to me, like if we're replacing all these incandescent lights, could that offset the $3,500 a month? How much of that could actually be achieved through an operating budget? But these are the stage lights. We don't use the stage lights like we use the auditorium, or they come on and off infrequently, and so we're not going to get that same payback. And so I just want to be clear. It's noodling that number, and it's really difficult, and I don't want to overestimate that number.
I'm just getting confused by the math. So right here, and I'm in full support of this. I think this is something that we've been talking about for a number of years. This is something that that we need. And Joe, I support this initiative. I'm just curious about this math on this slide. So we're looking at this lighting system, $453,000, incentive of $224, $228,558 would need to be is the gap financing. But back to the other slide, we're talking about $3,500 a month for 60 months. That's $210,000. It's just that I'm not following.
That's our share.
So National Grid pays the other part of it. So if you look on this slide, the whole project is 453. National Grid is going to give us 224.
We don't pay back.
We don't pay back.
They're going to subsidize.
Got it. Okay, so they're subsidizing it regardless.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
That's if we can do it all by December 31st.
Got it. But
the balance.
The other screen said that if in the event that we didn't, if it happens later.
That's our share still. The 3,500 is our share.
Yeah, they're still talking about the 229.
Yeah.
We only have to pay back 229 and change. And
We
then
would-
how we do
yeah.
it is one of two ways. Either a full appropriation of $229,000, which we pay,
Or
a payment of $3,500 approximately monthly for 5 years, approximately,
Got it.
Or
until it's paid off. Or a combination of both, right? Like we start paying $3,500 and we wait until we get down to $100,000 and we pay off $100,000 at some time later, because we could pay it off at any time, correct?
yeah, and then the other way is if we can't take advantage of this incentive, then we would have to pay the whole 453. That's on the plan already for next year.
Got it. Okay.
0% sounds really great.
0%.
Yeah,
So I think there's some great opportunity here. We have to sit down with the town treasurer, the finance director, with probably.
Procurement now sounds like the biggest question I
Yes.
have.
Yeah, that's we need to make sure that, if these vendors are on state bid lists, that's great.
Yeah, okay.
If they're not, there's a timeline that, we have to back into that, might make it complicated. But again, it's a stage lighting. I believe this can get done. We just need to sit down and make sure we do it, compliantly as we need to.
Joe, in your experience, have you ever seen a grant of this size where National Grid or anybody is willing to give us a 50% incentive? I mean, that's pretty big.
I haven't. And the vendor, who is the vendor on record with National Grid, so he was the one that applied for it. He said, I'm going to apply for this incentive from my proposal. He said that this is, like, they don't really do this. This is uncommon. It's a year that they are kind of wrapping up these industrial projects.
So if we don't take advantage of it this year, potentially looking for it next year, the year after might not exist, probably won't exist.
It'll be a smaller
Right,
one.
so
It'll
we're
be like a
probably on
5
the
to
hook for
10%.
500,000 alone, right, thereabouts, or 453, as you say, right?
Yeah, with some.
Without any type of finance or incentive to.
They could still OBR it, they could still on-bill repay, but the incentives would be down to more like a $45,000, which, again, is not insignificant.
Not bad, but it's not 50%, right?
So, the fallout plan here is if this can't happen, Capital Improvement has said they want to support this in FY '26, so it'll happen. It's not like it won't happen. It's just, is there a way we can take advantage of this $224,000 with all the complexities of?
I think the fact that Capital Improvement has already said, awesome, this is a project we support, that credentials it as something that, is a priority for the town. It's always helpful to have project credentials a couple of years out because we're supposed to chase grants to help offset the cost of those big ticket capital items. So, Joe, these are all, Max, great coordination here. We gotta see if we can make this work. This is a big responsibility, though, and this is something that the select board is going to have to carry to town meeting, and we've got to do our best job to try to give them a game plan that works. I don't want to.
But I just want to point out that we can, and maybe we will, but we don't have to. Could we not still OBR this without a full out? I mean, I understand town meeting has to, allocate free cash to the operating budget so that we can pay the $3,500 a month, because eventually your operating budget will come down.
That's right. I
Quickly,
think
but that you have a little bit of runway there, right?
we do. We're at the first quarter of a fiscal year.
Right.
We could try to peel off 220,000 town funds, perhaps over general government budget. Hard though.
Well, if it's in the school, is this?
That's
Does it
it.
also
I'm not
come out
going to
of the
get
school
into, I'm
budget?
not talking about the school budget. I
But we
don't
really-
want to have
but-
my,
I want to see how many are
I
watching.
know that we're asking for 229 because that's the full funding, but really you just need 42,000 for this year to cover 3,500 over 12 months.
It would be less because it's January through
Yeah.
July.
So
it's-
I'm not trying to downplay the fact that this is a big ask, but there are many avenues to get to the conclusion of a
totally agree.
successful.
Right.
21,000.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think,
We don't have a lot of time to do it if we're going to.
right.
But I think what we're here tonight is to just find out from everyone what your feelings are, to have a straw vote on it. So that's a thumbs
Say
up.
do it.
you need
That's
to
what I think.
approve our grants over $50,000. So approving our,
So if this were a grant in front of us, I would say we have a majority vote that would approve it. I think you're hearing everyone say, we think it's a good
Great.
idea, so,
Absolutely.
Yes.
okay?
all right.
All right.
That's
We'll
the
keep-
straw poll
we'll
for
Keep
tonight.
doing what we can.
I think there's probably 4 or 5 different ways that we could
Skin this cat?
finance
Great.
this. And so we'll come back, hopefully at our next meeting with a game plan.
All right.
All right, great.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Max and Joe.
Thank you, gentlemen. All right, now, let me go to
Do
this.
you need this back? Oh, no, you
No, I have found my other one. Okay, so,
No.
now we're going to number 6 on our agenda, discussion and possible vote on the Votes Act requirements for town hall early voting hours for the upcoming national election. And we have our clerk here, Jared.
Thank you. So what, you have a memo in front of you. We just did this 2 months ago. The only real difference this time around is it's 2 weeks of early voting as per the Votes Act. It is required that we be open Again, 6 hours over the weekend. I like to do them all in one day when people are more out and it gives them a wider range to hit town hall between all the other activities they have to do. And then 12 hours for each day the town hall is open. I think this offsets the fact that the town hall is not open on Fridays, gives people plenty of opportunities before work, after work. We are only required to be open 50% of our working hours the first week and 100% of our hours the second week. In previous conversations with the board and my own personal beliefs to give people the most opportunity to vote while still maintaining my budget. Looking through my own budget, I have the money to do this. I worked with Amy Saul this past year to make sure I was fully funded, and we've also taken advantage of the senior tax work-off program, which technically does not impact my budget, though it does impact the overall town budget, obviously, which it's been really good for us this year, and I think that this, especially given this election season, I want to make sure everyone gets the opportunity to vote. As of right now, we have about 3,500 vote by mail, so that was about another 8,500, 9,000 registered voters in town. And typically for these elections, we get up to about 70 to 80% of our voting population out to vote. So I anticipate this to be very busy, and hopefully this too, by having 12-hour shifts and 2 hours and 6 hours on 2 Saturdays, this will make it so it doesn't back up. From what I heard anecdotally, part of it was because of COVID, but 4 years ago there was a line out the door to get into town hall. That was partly COVID, but that also just shows you for a presidential election how many people want to vote early because it's just an easier option for many people. This hopefully, this combined with the new equipment that I just received due to the CIC funding I received in this fiscal year, I'll have about 16 voting booths active, so 16 people can vote at once in the select board room in the town hall, or the old select board room in the town hall. And so I don't foresee any issues. The staffing is up to a level we've been expanding over the past few years. Right now I have 87 people who have volunteered through various to volunteer to help vote. This is through nonprofit, nonpartisan organizations who connect people with local town clerks, people within the town who just want to help out, and those who have done it for a number of years. This includes even, I just got one yesterday that was a high school student who wanted to do it, which high school students are allowed to do it. So I'm actually going to reach out to the school and see if there's any way we can get some more kids, because to be fair, I hadn't thought of it, and it is a great option for, because the school won't be open that day anyways, on election day, and then for early voting as well, with some shifts that take place after school is out. And it's really great to see young people who want to do this. So I don't foresee any issue with this, and this is also in line with everything that the town and the select board has requested of us in the past. And given how many elections we've had this year, we've kind of smoothed out some of the kinks with my office, and should be run smoothly, hopefully.
Any questions?
I do have one question. Is there any prohibition, or is there a reason, like, you don't have a Saturday right before Election Day?
It's over by that point. So it runs through the 19th through the Friday beforehand. So it's 2 Saturdays. So it ends November 1st under state law. So that's why.
This all sounds great to me.
And just to mention, there will, under state law, there is still a way that people can vote up to 12 p.m. on the day before the election day. That's called absentee voting over the counter, what we call it. And so there is still options and opportunities afterwards if someone's like, I forgot. But most people with 2 weeks manage to get in. And I've worked in the past with Gino Cresta to put it on the sign, Diane Marchese to send out robocalls, post it on our social media, post it on our website, which we will all do again to make sure there's the best we can. I always get calls. I didn't know what was going to happen. There's only so much my office can do, but we do make an effort to inform as many people as humanly possible. We also talk to the patch, talk to the Lynn item, try to get it in the newspaper as well.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
Is putting on a presidential election, is that more stressful for the clerk's office?
It takes more resources. It definitely does. Just it's all based on who, how many people you have come out to vote. Like with anything, the more people you have, the more quote unquote stressful it is. But this will be my second presidential and my fourth state election. So I've got it pretty well handled. But yes, there is a little bit more pressure on these things. It's also just a lot more people pay attention to these elections than they do to other elections. So my office, I want to say we had about 25, 30 calls asking when we were going to get the ballots today. People have started to think about it, and once people start to think about it, they get people don't care until they kind of comes onto their radar. Once it comes onto their radar, they want it immediately. But we should have the ballots, we're hoping by next week, but maybe the week after, to send out to those roughly 3,500 who have requested them. Under state law, those citizens living overseas whose Swampscott was their last address have already been sent out in accordance with federal law. So there's definitely a lot more. Like, this is probably the most overseas ballots that I've had. And I worked in a town with a military base before this, so this was still some of the most I've had. I have about 45 overseas people, students, children who are young adults who are overseas. We have people who last lived in Swampscott before moving overseas. We have a number of people in Europe, in Israel, in Mexico, some of the ones that have jumped out at me. And then we also have people who have never lived in the United States, but they're U.S. citizens whose parents' last address was in Swampscott. So it's definitely different to do a presidential election. It's not like anything else that we do over the course of the 4 years.
Great. Okay, so we need a motion. Do we need a motion on this? Discussion, possible vote? Yes.
Yes.
We need a motion.
To follow the recommendation of town clerk to post the elections as outlined in his memo.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thanks, Sharon.
Thanks, Jared. Democracy.
Okay, thank you, Jared. You do a great job.
Thank you.
Now we'll move to discussion and possible vote on entertainment license fees. Marissa?
So we are coming up on our annual common victualler and entertainment license renewals for all of our mostly food-related businesses. In past years, when we have gone over the list of businesses who file for an entertainment license, there's been discussion about the fee that we charge. Right now, it's a flat fee of $125, no matter what type of entertainment you provide. And so with this policy change, we're sort of looking to level the playing field a little bit. We have some businesses who might just play background music. As an example, I've eaten at Cafe Avellino, and Teresa just pipes and some soft music through her iPad, versus Mission on the Bay, that will have music with an amplifier. They have a live band. So there are different types of entertainment provided throughout our town businesses, and the fee scale that I proposed here is something that I modeled off of what the city of Cambridge does, obviously adjusted the prices for a small town scale. This is just something that I thought of. I'm open to other suggestions. I'm also open to keeping the flat fee if that's something that people agree with, but just wanted to gauge your interest. And I have some numbers that I'm happy to throw out if anybody has questions, but.
Do you have a comparison sheet?
I do. So I was doing comps today. I looked at our neighboring municipalities along the North Shore, and then I also looked at municipalities that are elsewhere in the state but have a similar population size.
Do you have them that you can put on the screen?
I don't. I just had time to do it this afternoon. They're mostly all the same. They're kind of just, they're all flat fees. I can give this to you. Otherwise, I could, if I hold it up to the screen, is that going to work? No, that's too small. Mostly, I'll put it this way. There was no, the highest fee was Gloucester, and that was $300. Everybody else charges about $100, although some did separate live entertainment from non-live entertainment. So TVs and music would incur a $50 fee, whereas live entertainment like bands and performances would incur a $100 fee. Some also charge for having entertainment on Sundays. And then others also charge a fee for automatic amusement, so coin-operated machines like video games or jukeboxes. So that's sort of the scope of it. That's also something I would be open to as well. But mostly Salem charges $100, Peabody charges $100, Hamilton $100, Linfield $100, Manchester, Saugus, Revere, all $100 for entertainment. And then they also have, some of them have auxiliary fees like automatic amusement or $50 for non-live entertainment. Doug?
And did you say we currently charge $125 flat?
We currently charge $125, yes.
So by this change, would that be a decrease for us in terms of what we would anticipate?
Not necessarily. So I did the calculations. Last year, we generated $1,875 from our 15 entertainment licenses. If we, in a hypothetical situation, if we were to have all the licenses renewed this year in accordance with this scale here, the revenue would relatively be the same. I calculated $2,005. Some license fees for businesses would increase, others would decrease, again, depending on the type of entertainment they provide. So the biggest jump would be for Mission on the Bay. Doug, I see you burning over there. Go ahead.
Sorry, I don't want to be rude. I'm sorry.
Doug,
Why are we doing this?
go ahead. Why are we having a fee?
Yeah, what's the point of this? $1,800? I mean,
I actually, you know,
we're going to
I'm
spend
sorry.
$1,800 administering this.
I'm not really.
This is a nuisance for small
in
business.
favor of making this adjustment at this time. We have a number of small businesses in this town. They are struggling to just get by. I find it archaic to be actually looking at, you know, some of the standards, like trivia, like we're going to charge $25 for trivia, or like all these are all, for a town to really get into that level of detail.
Is there any public reason why anybody does this? Like, is this just
Look,
like a way to noodle some dollars?
It should be an entertainment license. It sounds like we're within the peer group of the North Shore. That sounds pretty reasonable to me. I think, you know, when we look at revenue, and we talk about revenue for the town, that usually is what we do when we put the budget together. And if we really want to go in and dial in on whether or not we're getting enough for entertainment, and we need to double the number, we
To
could
go
do it.
from a whopping 1,800 to 3,600?
Well, I think there was some feedback
Well, there's obviously a
from
reason. I'm
some-
sure you didn't just pluck this out of thin air, right?
No, that's not
Say
about.
that again, sorry.
Maybe, you know.
Say that, I'm sorry, I missed
I'm sure
that.
there's a reason why you would have tried to do this, or what you're.
Yeah, it was sort of to, again, it had come up in different staff discussions that we had, and again, it was just because these are some small businesses, there are others who generate more revenue than the ones who don't. So again, looking to just sort of level that playing field. David?
Just,
David. I don't know how this works.
No, just real quick. So, you know, dancing by patrons, $25. So if I happen to be moved by song or games that I'm watching,
Then you are charged $25.
No. I would hate for a small business who didn't have a dancing by patrons license.
That was mostly so we have I wouldn't call them businesses, but our social clubs are required to file for an entertainment license. So it would be something like that. They are exempt from the provisions of a common victualler license, but they are required to file for an entertainment license. So the Italian Club, the VFW, the Yacht Club, those kinds of associations. So it wouldn't be it mostly wouldn't pertain to the restaurants, although Mexicali last year, they indicated on their entertainment license form that they have a mariachi band. So maybe there is dancing by patrons. But again, I mean, those were the accessory items, or excuse me, that's live entertainment. And that was why, you know, there's the fee cap there anyway. So,
Got it.
you know, the once you hit $100, it would end there. Again, most of our neighboring municipalities along the North Shore seem to just divide live entertainment from non-live entertainment. Live entertainment is typically, or on average, is set at $100, and non-live entertainment, TVs, music, at $50. Like I said, also happy to leave it as is. Just wanted to have a discussion.
Yeah,
Well,
just to
thank
be
you for
clear.
the work that you did put into it.
Thank
I
you,
don't wanna
yeah.
Just ignore it and say, let's not do it. There was obviously a, you know, reason why you came up with this, so thank you for doing that.
Sure.
Look, these are important regulatory responsibilities. We oftentimes bump into complaints from residents about, you know, bands. And folks are like, why do we have live music here? And we go back to the license and we determine that it's not actually enumerated on the entertainment license. And you have a business that hasn't been properly vetted through a process. And so it's like, looking at this stuff is important. Typically, we do that once a year during the licensing process. The board will look at every one of the licenses and get a sense of whether or not, you know, we're helping these businesses with the menu of entertainment options that could help their businesses be successful and that would be more fitting. If you have a club, for instance, a social club that's in a residential neighborhood, and they have live music, that might be a little bit more disturbing than having that club in a commercial zone like Vinnon Square on Humphrey Street. It just, these are the decisions that the board makes from a policy perspective that can help regulate the type of uses that are enumerated in the entertainment license. That said, I do think it's important to understand and to discuss, you know, and
So what's your recommendation then? So
my recommendation, I do think we probably need a little bit more time to actually review this as a team.
Okay.
I'd be more interested to hear, like, from some of the businesses, are these here's your existing license, would you, do you have all the uses that you think, is trivia really something that you need? Or, you know, do you want to have acoustic music? Or, like, what is it that would help your business be that much more successful? And then circle back around to the board and get your thoughts about whether or not there's a way for us to ban certain approvals in a way that I think makes a little bit more sense. Because if you have a small business, you don't really want to have to go in there and check and see, oh, instead of karaoke this week, I'd like to do trivia, but I don't have that. You know, I think we want to give them, here's a general entertainment use that.
I will say a lot of our businesses are pretty good about, this isn't, I mean, I took these examples off of the current entertainment license sheet application that we use, and a lot of our businesses are, particularly those that have been operating for years, are pretty good about knowing what they can expect. Sure. Like, I think Mexicali only has the mariachi band on Cinco de Mayo. But they mark it down anyway because they know that it's an annual thing that they do. So nobody, it's really, is from based on my interactions with the local business owners or managers, those who come in to turn in the entertainment license applications, it really doesn't seem like there's any guesswork involved on their part about what kind of entertainment they may or may not offer. They are pretty, they're pretty aware, cognizant of what they offer to their patrons.
Now, do the police ever get a call that there's entertainment, there's karaoke going on here, and I don't think they have a license?
I believe there have been noise complaints made to the police, and then that's where, you know, that's why we want to have these categories on our entertainment licenses. Right. I mean, ultimately, it's up to the select board during the annual license renewal phase to maybe, you know, evaluate some of these licenses and say, or evaluate some of these categories with a particular business and say, how often do you do this? Have you had noise complaints? But I think music with amplification more than anything, whether it be karaoke, whether it be a live band, whether it be just a DJ or something like that, that's going to obviously generate the most noise. I believe there have been noise complaints made to our police department about that. And at least this way, you know, there's sort of a level of accountability in there.
You know what they have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good. All right, so we're going to table this for now?
Sure.
And come back and discuss it at a later date?
At the very least, I will say this. When I redid the application last year for the entertainment license, I included this sheet. I just took out the fee, the associated fee column. And so that way I had I had the business owners or managers, whoever is responsible for filling out the license renewal, go through. And some of them came in with me and we filled out together. And we went through and I had them mark off each individual category just to make sure that, you know, they are encompassing everything that they do provide for their patrons.
Okay, great.
So at the very least, we can keep this as part of the application. Just if we decide to not move forward with the fees as proposed, then, you know, there's still a way of holding them accountable for what they are requesting.
Okay, great.
So,
All right, thanks, Marissa.
Thanks, Marissa.
cool.
Okay. So we're going to table that. All right, discussion and possible vote on new members for the town election committee. Where is that?
Yeah,
I didn't really send anything, so I didn't have
I don't have
anything to
anything.
send. I do have
Okay.
the recommendations from Pete and Mary Ann that they made back in May. And I wasn't sure where we were going with this, if you're gonna vote on their recommendations, or if we were going to
Well, I
table
think-
those and review all the applications again.
We don't have it.
We
No,
do
I
not.
haven't raised yet.
We do not, David.
So you know what? Maybe because we didn't have them in our packet,
I think we also decided, the board's got a new policy for how you're going to vet applicants, and so the thought was, we'd talk about it briefly tonight, and then we'd come back at a future meeting after the board has a chance to review and rank the applicants.
Yeah, I think it's just that some of these applicants are under the impression that they've already been chosen, so I think
So,
that's the.
Have they been told that they have been selected? That's what we need to clarify.
They have been.
Yeah,
have been.
Because they were,
See, that's,
sorry about that.
therein lies the problem, because
Yeah.
now we're in the situation where we have to tell these people, no, you haven't been appointed, we have a new process, and we risk upsetting, even though I'm not comfortable with the way the group was selected. I didn't really, when I looked at the questions they were asked and the way they were vetted, I didn't really think it was, I thought it was too subjective, to be honest. So I think they probably should be put through the new process, but I also don't want to, I feel bad for people that were already told that they've been appointed when they really haven't been, so.
Yeah, I think at this point, if it's been communicated to them that they're part of this committee, it would be unfair for us now to say, well, we've put in a new process, so we have to re-vet you, and you could
Right.
potentially no longer be on this committee. So I understand, you know, we are working on we have gone through a new process. It's in place now, but I don't know that it would be appropriate for us to sort of redo what we've already done.
Because they were notified, well,
I don't.
it's a little bit, somewhat, it's a little weird, because, so they were notified, but they never came before the select board, even if it was the old process for
Right.
approval. Is that
Correct.
correct?
Correct.
Yeah, we
haven't been
we
appointed.
haven't.
They haven't been
approved-
Yeah.
We haven't been
Yeah.
appointed, we haven't
Right.
approved them, but they were
Okay.
notified, so.
Okay, so they made it through the first half of the process before the process changed, kind of, okay.
It was on an agenda at one point in time where we were going to approve them. So I think they were invited to come as
Were they?
going to approve them.
I don't think they were.
It was on an agenda, yes, and they were told that they were probably going to be appointed, and then we tabled the appointment.
Yeah, and so
That's where we left it.
Yeah.
the board,
Yeah.
subsequent to that, discussed that you wanted to have a new standard for how you vetted some of the candidates, and I think Danielle's comments were shared at that point, and we said, all right, we'll roll up a revised process. I know, I hear the concern about, you know, we had a number of individuals that we wanted to put, I think a number of these candidates are still interested, and I think if the board wanted to go through that and just credential the process and feel comfortable with it, I think you should get comfortable with it and feel comfortable voting on these individuals. They've been credentialed by town staff, and, you know, certainly would like to get the committee up and running.
Doug, what's your opinion?
Oh, I don't really have one exactly, but Daniel, it sounds like maybe you've kind of thought through this more than, you've known
Yeah.
about these folks and that you've been, like, are you just commenting that, like, just generally they're not using the new process, or you've, like, you know the individual people and you have concerns with kind of, without naming names, with, like, the fact, you said something about subjective criteria.
Yep.
or there's
If you look at the
concerns.
questions where,
Okay.
you know, what
I mean,
they were
First time I'm
asked.
seeing it, that's, yeah.
Tell us about your history in Swampscott. How engaged are you in local national voting? You know, why do you want to be on the committee? And then we're looking for a mix, it says here, we're looking for a mix of gender. It's as if we're profiling people, and we're looking for, mix of political viewpoints, ensured there wasn't anyone attempting to push an agenda. So what exactly does that mean? And how do you actually qualify that? Right? So that type of questioning to me just is not really in line with what we're trying to accomplish by getting more people engaged in the community and in making it a process that people want to be part of. I just felt like the way this was done just didn't seem to be the right way to that we want to look to assemble committees in the future. Right? I wouldn't ask somebody a question like that. I wouldn't base it on someone's gender. I wouldn't base it on their, political affiliation. Right?
I just want to be clear. The individuals that went through that process, I didn't write the questions. We had those questions presented by some staff with good intentions to try to make sure that we had individuals for this committee that could be objective. We wanted it to be diverse. We wanted it to be reflective of a broad range of perspectives. I think they, in good faith, tried to make sure that, they just had individuals that it would help support a successful committee. I get your concerns, Danielle, and I certainly understand them. I appreciate them, but I don't think there was anything that was done in any way that would undermine the integrity of the individuals that are presented in front of you. I mean, it's a good group of folks.
Yeah, I can't say, sorry.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would never say it's not a good group of folks. I would say, what made us decide on one person versus the other when there were two in a precinct? Right, what was the qualifier? What was the, we have recommended, maybe. What is a maybe? Like, maybe today they're good, maybe tomorrow they wouldn't be? Like, those types of things, when people are going to ask us, why didn't I get appointed to this committee? I'm going to say, well, you were a maybe, and I really don't know why you were a maybe, because I can't really explain what a maybe is.
Understood.
So it's that type of thinking that, I think there were, I don't know how many candidates or how many people applied, Diane, for this?
I don't remember off the
Looks
top.
like
of my
15
head,
or so.
but
Yeah.
20-something anyway.
20-something. So that's obviously something that a lot of people want to be a part of. So if we're going to pick and choose, I just want to feel confident in what the metric is and what we're going to be able to say to people when we say, no, you weren't selected, and this is why. Because people will inevitably ask.
Well, was every candidate interviewed that had put in an application?
Yes.
I think so.
Please.
All right,
Every
so it
single
wasn't
one of them.
20-something.
So the list you have.
The list that we have here is every person who applied.
Correct.
Every person applied was interviewed.
Right.
Yes.
All right.
And one-
David, I'm sorry.
The last little thing, I can't say for sure, but all these, the diversity kind of, there's all these bullets that we have in front of us, that feels reminiscent of the conversation we had the night when we had the discussion about forming the committee. And I don't know when that was. I don't know if you were on the board at that point or not, but.
I think it was
March.
So I think this is where a lot of this came from. I can't say literally, but just to give you a little, that's the context that's coming to my mind.
The only thing I can recall was we were just looking for precincts and then
And
committees.
a youth.
Yep. We have youth, and then there are committees, like the Disability Commission has to nominate school committee.
I don't think
No,
so.
not this
No.
one.
I don't think
Not
so.
for
Not on
this
this
one.
one?
No.
No, not on this one.
That was
This was by
one
precinct, it
every
looks like, right?
precinct And
an
one
age
youth
because of,
Yep.
engagement.
Yep.
That's what it was.
2
And I
youth
understand the
engagements.
precinct. I mean, that
Oh,
makes sense
Yeah.
from like a,
And one
You know.
18 to 21-year-old.
Okay, we're
Yeah, it
sure on
was-
that?
Yeah.
Which one am I thinking?
You're thinking of the feasibility, the community feasibility
Okay,
study. That
Okay.
group has representation from 5 or 6 committees that have stakeholders in
Okay.
that conversation.
All right, so, David, what's
No.
your feelings here?
My feeling is, these interviews happened at the end of May. We're now in the middle of September. Over 100 days have passed. Everybody's been interviewed. This has been vetted by town staff. I am willing to move forward and accept the recommendations of town staff and seat this committee so we can actually get to the brass tacks and get to work here. I think it's important that, we don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And I think we owe it to these individuals who were notified that we can move forward with these recommendations. And I'd be prepared to vote on that this evening.
Yeah, I think too, if any seat should open up for whatever reason, if somebody should drop out, that we would commit to upholding the standard that we've put in place now going forward. And that anybody who would be seated going on a go-forward basis would be held to that standard that we've laid out.
Right. So I agree with David. I mean, I feel that even though the process wasn't perfect, individuals were notified and they've been waiting, so. And I also think that anyone who wasn't on the who hasn't been approved, they can still attend all these committee meetings and voice their concerns and give their opinions, so. I'm sorry, Doug, go ahead.
I just taking note of this thing that we have in our packets too, back in the back with the other committee stuff. Actually, kind of in the supplemental stuff for our further reading about the various committees. There is a summary here about Town Election Review Committee, and to your point, Mary Ellen, you may very well have remembered it correctly, because it does look like there's a COD, I assume that's Commission on Disability?
Correct.
So there was.
So this is in addition to those precincts.
Yeah, so.
You were right.
I am right, please note.
Let the minutes reflect.
Let the minutes reflect that the chair is correct, that we are getting additional members from the different committees.
Including yourself.
Well, look at that.
Look at that, Fletcher.
Oh, wow.
It's like, wait a minute.
Okay.
You sure this is right now?
Yeah.
Yep. All right, so let's get
And
this
school
going.
committee appointment too?
Yep.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that.
I didn't remember any of that since
No,
we were talking about
I didn't
something
know
else.
about any of that. Nope.
All right.
Okay, but I'm up, unless someone, sees some of the people who are recommended has grave concerns, I guess I would say that we should roll forward with this.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think we need to do that.
As Mary Ellen stated, if you were not chosen but were interviewed, you should attend all the meetings and participate because your voice matters. And
Right. So can we have a motion to accept the members that have been identified on this list here?
so moved.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Diane?
Yes.
Would you please send an email out, or a letter, whatever mechanism you want to use there, to everyone on this list as to whether or not they have been appointed or not appointed? And can you also encourage them to attend these meetings? And to let you know if they want to continue to have their name on there to be considered if somebody were to drop out.
Okay.
Is there a first meeting? 8?
Well, there's not a committee yet, David, so I don't think.
Well, we just made a committee.
So-
So
Maybe-
Diane,
Typically, we'll pull the
we'll
committee.
work it with Diane.
Yeah.
Diane will send it out. We'll work that out tomorrow morning.
That's official, so we'll let Jared
All right.
handle that. How's that?
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I make a plug? We still need one 16 to 17-year-old,
I think we have,
Need one.
okay?
I found somebody and she sounds fantastic, so we'll have to vet
Go through
her.
the
We have to
process.
vet her,
Yeah.
yep.
I
Well-
emailed you her stuff this
Okay.
Five
afternoon.
select board members have to
Okay.
vote on.
I think
I
what you
know,
need
and
to
I
do,
did
you know
email
what,
it.
Diane, could you just,
I'm so excited.
could you just ask the schools just to run an advertisement or something like that one more time for somebody, and you might have a couple applicants?
Yep.
Do we have an Instagram account for the town, or just Facebook?
We have Instagram, but I don't know how to use it.
Okay,
We can set that up.
the reason I'm asking is because
We
also
have
this group of people, 16, 17, 18 to 22, like.
Get on the
there's-
TikTok.
Yeah, Yeah, we need to have Sean do a TikTok
Snapchat.
dance.
We can
Yeah.
do TikTok.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, you can dance,
Okay?
Dance the night away.
only if we pay $25.
Yeah, you gotta pay up.
Okay, don't make me take the gavel out.
Again.
All right, find my agenda here. Okay, discussion and possible vote on reducing members for cultural council from 13 to 5. Diane?
I currently have 10 vacancies. I'm finding it a little difficult to fill this council. I'm not really sure why, but it would be nice if, with 10 vacancies, I apply for cultural council grants. So those lovely utility boxes, those are $4,000 from the last 2 years. I'd like to see this council filled so that I can ask for more money to bring more art to the town of Swampscott. And in order to do so, I think we need to reduce the membership so that we can always hit a quorum.
So statutorily speaking, we have to have a minimum of, it has to be a minimum of 5?
That is correct, and the statute is in your packets.
Got it.
So Diane, do we have 5 currently?
We have 3.
So you would
if
have a
reduce it to
quorum.
Have a
5, I
quorum.
vote. Quorum, yeah.
And what do the 3 members of the council think about reducing its size? Do they
I haven't even spoken to any of them.
Okay.
I'm asking on
They
my
can't
behalf.
have-
The
they can't have a
chairperson has
meeting.
resigned.
Yes.
Well, what about the chair?
There's no chair.
There's no chair. Okay.
There's no chair.
Interesting.
He just
Well,
resigned.
I think it might be a good idea to go down to 5, and if it looks like it's becoming a big party and you have a big list of people who want to get on the cultural council, we could always expand it up.
Yep.
Sure.
That works.
All right, so can we have a motion to reduce the membership from 13 to 5 on the cultural council?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Perfect.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay. Review and possible vote on updated select board handbook. Okay, so Katie and Danielle, this was your project here.
Gotcha.
Just want to find mine.
Want me to chat about it?
Yeah, well, I have a couple questions on it, because are we,
Can I just tell our process first, and then you could,
I just have a quick question. Are we, is the code of conduct attached to this, or we don't?
Not yet.
no, not yet.
Okay, that was my, yes, go
Okay.
on with your,
So Danielle and I met, we took the current handbook from Diane, and we redlined suggested edits. Now, some of them were just typos, and some of them were clarification. I don't think it's anything too controversial. Happy to discuss any suggestions we made. Diane also did us a favor and looked through the committees and boards to make sure we had everything reflected. Some of these are still, we have to sort of figure out, like the Traffic Study Advisory Committee, it exists, but it doesn't actually exist, so some of those things sort of need to be ironed out, but the only thing that is missing that Danielle and I spoke about was the addition of a social media policy. We asked the town administrator and Sean to provide us with the town's social media policy to see that we could reflect it in the handbook. There have been multiple iterations of ideas of social media policies, but nothing concrete, really.
Yeah, we've got a draft that we just have been looking to implement.
Right.
We've had a little bit of a delay there, but the policy that we have, I think, has been vetted by town council and has gone through a review of best practice social media policies. I think we looked at 10 different communities. It's pretty comprehensive.
And the school, we also asked for the school social media policy to see if there were any additives. or-
And they do have one.
They do have one, so that's not reflected in your handbook today, because we just didn't have the information in time to put it in there, but we didn't want to delay the discussion on the other points. So we can add it and then give it around, yeah.
So is the social media policy more appropriate to be in the select board handbook or in the code of conduct? Where is the appropriate location for that
It's a
for
good
that
question.
information.
I don't know.
That's a great
I don't
question.
honestly.
Because it should apply to everyone,
Maybe you should
right?
look at it
Yeah,
first.
probably should apply to, I mean, I guess we should get some language
Yeah,
to
fair.
paper
Fair,
first,
fair,
and then we
fair.
can figure out where it's best put.
Fair.
I think
I
that's
think
a
it
fair
could be a
comment.
chapter in the handbook. I think for me, it's like, let's put it all in one place, so
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go looking for it.
Yeah.
You know?
Right, but the code of conduct applies to all the committee members, right?
Boards and committees, yeah.
Yeah. So why not have it there?
Right.
Yeah.
You could have it in
Good
both
point.
places, if
Right.
they're mirror images,
Yeah,
it's okay,
I'm
it'd
just-
be duplicative.
And it probably should go in the employee handbook also, so.
Totally agree, yep. It's in the draft that we're gonna implement.
Start.
So that's the only thing that's missing that we sort of talked about, but if there's any other concepts that you guys have in mind, we're happy to sort of vet some of those ideas through with town council and,
So town council they reviewed this when this was originally approved in '22, but they have not
looked at it since then.
looked at it since.
No,
So
but
they
we can
didn't-
have them once we sort of get it buttoned up. We'll rather have them look at it once when we feel like we're in a good position to have them look at it than sort of have it
Well, let's get it done.
practiced twice.
I just have a couple, may I?
So why don't, do
Go ahead.
you want to start,
I'll go in order.
let's go in order.
Okay.
If we start with Chapter 1, Select Board's Authority.
No changes.
No changes. Chapter 2,
There's some things in red here, but those weren't new, were they?
Those were
really?
always in red.
Oh, they were always in red. Wow.
I don't know why. I think
Links or
that's-
something, maybe?
I-
Okay.
Some of these.
it might have
acts
been
were not
added
ours.
later.
Okay.
Who knows? So there's nothing on Chapter 2. Chapter 3,
Chapter 3B was a typo.
A lot of it is typos.
Chapter 3C, we just added as soon as reasonably possible for the chair to honor requests of the board members to have items included on the agenda.
I had something on G.
Okay.
I have some on C.
Okay.
I have something on E.
So
Alright,
C3,
C.
we
Go ahead, Doug.
changed 7 days to 3 days.
But I just like to add business
No,
days
hold on a
there.
second.
Oh, yeah.
On 3, what is that? Oh, 3 days, got it, uh-huh.
But Doug wants to add business days.
Yep.
So that's fine, we'll add that.
Good catch.
And then down to F.
Hold on a second. So if that's, so if we're Wednesday,
Basically puts us in line for getting the agenda out the Thursday before.
yeah,
That's-
okay.
That was the point.
It equals the
And that's
paragraph below.
reflected in
That's
the
why we
paragraph below.
Even did that.
Okay.
Right, there you go, yep.
So that's on 3. I have on E, last year, the big discussion was on motions, the chair may not second a motion. And the conversation last year was to remove that.
Can anyone confirm whether or not you follow Robert's Rules of Order?
Generally, yes. I mean, that's been the,
So Robert's Rules allows the chair to make a motion.
it is, but you had a handbook that said that you couldn't, but the chair can make a motion under Master General Law. That's not,
Right, so either you follow it or you don't, right? We can't follow half of
typically
it
the
or
chair
not.
steps
No,
out of
because
the
the
chair and say,
handbook
I'm
would-
going to step
would
out
not
of the
allow
chair,
it.
the role.
Right. So our chair, our chair does not make a motion, but last year, one of the big topics of conversation was that for the chair to second a motion. We had a couple instances last year where there was a motion made, and because the chair couldn't second it, it just died on the floor, and that caused a bit of frustration. So it was brought up, and I'm just bringing it back up again to see how you all feel.
To me, the way I look at it, and this could be wrong, but either you follow one set of rules or not. And the less exception you make to that, the less confusing it is, right? So either if you're following Robert's rules, then you are, then the chair can make a motion. And, to make exceptions to that gets you into the weeds and gets confusing to me. But that's just my personal thought.
So I think the thought behind the chair.
Most towns, I think, follow Robert's Rules.
They do. They don't follow it, exactly. They say, we generally, follow it. But there are exceptions. And I think you want to keep that flexibility as a board because there are times where you might just need to, for very valid reasons, kind of deviate from the procedural stricture of Robert's rules. The reason why the chair doesn't, get to make motions and, is because the chair has a lot of power. And so the chair gets to set the agenda, control the debate, manage the debate, call for questions, lots of things. And so that's just a check on the power of the chair.
Mm-hmm.
But it does, have a frustrating impact on the work of the board, because if you can't get consensus and you're trying to even have a debate, and you're stuck,
Mhm.
and you have 4 members, for instance, and it can be a huge impediment. The workaround there is just the chair steps out of the chair and somebody becomes a chair pro temp.
Right.
And the chair, I know it, that's the procedural, it's
It
Robert's
happens
Rules
all
of
the
Order.
time.
Yeah.
And so there's a Robert's Rules of Order around that.
Right.
But you have to read the book and understand the parliamentary procedure maneuvers.
Well, I think we should keep it that the chair doesn't make a motion, but I'm fine with the chair seconding a motion, as I was last year.
Yeah, I feel like there is a historical, history has shown that the discussion of the board has often led to great conversation which have changed people's minds or have altered what people originally thought when coming into a motion. Sometimes a motion is just to open discussion,
Right.
and that discussion can't even happen.
Right.
We've all seconded motions that we weren't gonna vote in favor of to have discussion, but if you don't have that, then you're at a stalemate and you don't even get to that point.
Right.
So I do see a benefit in having the chair have the ability to second a motion. And I understand the complexities of Robert's Rules of Order, and there's a lot of workarounds, but you have to know the workarounds. And I think keeping it as the chair not making a motion is a check and balance to that, so.
So you want
Okay.
to remove the chair may not second a motion?
I would just say.
Is that what we're removing then?
Well, I'm saying clearly, I'm not sure what Katie's saying actually, but I'm saying for the chair may second a motion.
Right, so we would
Just
have
get
to
rid of the
change
word
that.
not.
Right.
That's it, for me.
David? Okay. That's, I think, what Katie was saying also, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
You were
I think
talking about
there's
a
good-
motion.
I think
didn't-
there's a good
I didn't hear you say
reason-
second, that's all.
Sorry, the first part I said was talking about seconding a motion. The latter part was about the check and balance to them not making a motion.
Okay, so sentence 4, the chair may second a motion striking the word not.
Correct.
Got it.
You note that edit, Diane, so.
Okay, so, I have another question under citizen participation.
Wait a minute, did someone have some, so where is that? You're going to G?
Three.
Did you say you had?
Did anybody have anything for F?
No.
Okay.
There's like I don't know, for some reason the formatting's messed up on to F2, but we'll fix that.
So under G,
Yep.
I think that with the recent Supreme Court decision, we possibly have to, hold on a second. Oh, there's two things. First, each speaker should be limited to speaking once for a maximum of 3 minutes. I think that there should be flexibility in that, because there are times when it could be really packed, and you might want to drop it down to 2 minutes, or it could be pretty sparse, and you might want to give somebody 5 minutes.
At the discretion of the chair.
Yeah.
That's
This
why I
may
just
be
think it should be
modified.
discretion at the chair can be modified.
Okay.
I'll go with that, but I'm not crazy about it, to be honest with you, because it already, it says limited to, so you can already go down to 2 within this. But when you say, when you just throw in at the discretion of the chair,
The chair
could
cut you
get
off
kind of
at any
willy-nilly,
time.
you know?
Right, yeah.
But,
I sort of
you
feel-
gotta
I-
balance that with your citizens too. If you
Right, but I
abuse
mean, that is a balance in a way. It's saying a clear message to everybody.
Right.
Like, you can make your point in 3 minutes, no matter what it is, right?
Right.
Come back every week if you want, but like, it's 3
No,
minutes.
I've been at numerous meetings, and people couldn't make their point in 3 minutes, and they needed a little bit more.
Well, maybe they should have thought their
Well, for
point through.
example, do we have limitations on ourselves? How long we can speak for?
No.
No. So, but we're going to limit people to
Mm-hmm. But
how
you're
long they can speak?
elected on behalf of the entire town.
Right.
You are select citizens. Individuals that come to these meetings sometimes feel as though they should be on the equal plane as the elected citizens that are here to represent the town. It's generally not, you'd never get through your business if that became a standard practice. And if it becomes, almost like a weekly back and forth, and folks are using that to kind of, almost appear as though they're your peer, it can get confusing. And frankly, the board's gonna struggle with managing time, especially of issues of consequence.
Yeah,
It's difficult.
I'm not interested in citizen filibusters. And so I think it's important that we set a standard and that standard is maintained for all citizens. And if they can't make their point in 3 minutes, they can come back next week and
Take another 3 minutes.
3 minutes. And take another 3 minutes. And every other week they can come and make their point. And that's not to say that it's a punishment, but I just think there is a sense of justice in keeping it consistent.
So I'm going to disagree with you on that one, only because I have been watching select board meetings forever, and I've been at them for a little bit, and I have been in these meetings where somebody needed to go over a little bit, and, 1 or 2 minutes, and to turn around and say, no, you have to sit down, I think that it wasn't that productive, and to say, we'll come back next week, we don't come back next week, we come back in 2 weeks, and I do think it should be at the discretion of the chair, but.
So you're saying increase it from 3 minutes to 5 minutes, or you're
No.
saying add a whole nother phrase?
I'm saying at 3 minutes or at the discretion of the chair.
Which could go either way, because the chair could turn
So
around
with the
after
chair
a
to be
minute
able
and
to
say,
say,
sit down, you're.
or the chair to say, well.
In theory, right?
No, well, what I'm
If
saying
that's what you're
is,
saying.
also, if you have a room packed with people and you've got a big agenda, the chair may say, we have to limit it to 2 minutes tonight.
Right.
That's
So
already
that's-
covered.
that's counted.
That's already available, because a maximum of 3 minutes. You could say you have 30 seconds.
Right. At the discretion of the chair says, there's a lot of things you can say. You could say, sit down, you're done after a minute. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to say that.
Right? Or you could say,
Yeah, you could say,
You
look,
know.
we got so many things
It's a
we gotta
slippery
get to
slope.
tonight, and
Right.
somebody's got to leave by this hour.
Right.
We're going to have to move public, it around. The chair has a lot of discretion for how to manage the business of the board with the support of the board. But, I do think the chair should have discretion when it comes to that. And Mary Ellen, I think you're right. I think there are times where, some people may show up and they may have an issue,
okay,
and they may have to speak for 4 minutes and 22 seconds. But that should be, the
exception.
chair should actually make those kind of decisions. And if it gets out of hand, as a board, you can talk about that, and you can try to, get to consensus on it. You want to make sure citizens feel as though they have an opportunity to be heard on issues of consequence, and, you just want to make sure that it's not abused and it's not misused and it's not, it
Right.
doesn't become a standing, kind of engagement.
Well, to me, that feels like you have a rule, and then if there's something compelling in that situation, then the chair looks around and says, okay, if we kind of go a little bit over here, everyone kind of says, yeah, we roll with it, right? But, still you're sending out a clear message, and it doesn't become like, just, hey,
Policy.
But generally, when you do make that exception,
Well, if we have to.
you have to make that
You're saying
exception
by
for
the-
everybody else that's
That's right.
in that
Correct.
room that
And
night.
that's-
So you
Right.
gotta.
That's the point.
That's the
It's
point.
got to be pretty exceptional.
That's right.
Make
So
the
you-
exceptions.
As long as everybody knows that, you
Right.
want to be accommodating, but at the end of the day, you are the select board, and your time is valuable.
I think too, on very rare occasions, are we using stopwatches and clocks in public comment. There have been times where there's been a lot of people, or for whatever reason, we have done that. But in general, I don't think we generally do that. I think we sort of gauge, let people speak, and then if it gets to a point, we
Start looking at each other.
cut the mic or whatever, we politely ask that they wrap up their comments. I think generally that's the tone that we've always kept with public comment, and I think we should continue to keep with public comment.
Yeah.
I also think the best thing that people like to hear is that, you know, a few of you might stay after the meeting to listen to them even further. You know, people just need to know that, you know, you're interested in hearing everything they have to say. It's just, we got to get through the business of the town.
So what's the general consensus? You don't want to have discretion of the chair? You want to just stick to 3 minutes? Or you,
I would like to stick to 3 minutes.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Is that what you're saying?
I mean,
Like, because I can't make a motion.
We don't need a
second
motion
one.
for this yet.
Yeah, I think it makes sense to stick, I think it gets too subjective.
Okay.
And depending on who the chair is and, you know, what that means to certain people, it's not always going to be you, it's not always going to be, you know, you never know who it's going to be. You never know what their discretion is going to be, so.
Okay. All right. So speakers may raise issues. So this is something I'd like the town council just to double check on. Raise for future board agendas, identify community problems, commitments. I have a funny feeling that we can't put this stipulation in there. I also think.
Which one? The one that's crossed
The
out?
last one.
No, the third bullet point.
Oh, the third.
Third.
Yeah, third bullet point, speakers may raise new issues for future board agendas, identify community problems, and comment on past and present future board agendas.
Is that really what you're referring to, or are you
I thought
referring,
you
I
were
think you're referring to the
bottom
last
I'm
one.
also referring to the bottom one. I'm referring to
Yeah.
that one and.
Maybe the one that's
The
crossed
section that was
out, too.
crossed out.
Yeah.
The section was crossed out, and request residents refrain, also take out, request residents refrain from comments that contain political statements or include community criticism or others. I'm just pretty sure that legal counsel, if they look at this, they're gonna tell us we have to take it out.
I have a similar concern. I think, but I don't know if we're restricted from requesting that they refrain.
It's not
You
a
know,
prohibition, it's a
right.
request.
So that may be the reason why we could, if we wanted to, still request those things.
I think you can set your expectations for the standard of care that people take when they engage with the board and discuss the town's business, but they have constitutional rights, and if they want to avail themselves of whatever behavior is allowable under the United States Constitution, they have that right.
Right, like you wouldn't be able to categorize them as falling under disorderly person,
Right.
for example, you know.
Well, if you could just,
reject them
if you
from
could
Unless
just double
they,
check it.
they
Yeah,
were,
we will check.
you know,
Well,
really disorderly.
So are we talking about the redlined request residents speak respectfully and refrain from commenting, criticizing, or otherwise disparaging select board, individual members, members of town staff, or other resident groups or individuals? Is that what we're referencing?
Well, I was only referencing the last bullet point,
Okay,
and I also referenced the fourth bullet point.
okay.
And my references are just really all about what legally we can
So
do.
I just want to be clear, like, I have a responsibility if somebody decided to show up at a meeting and disparage one of my colleagues.
Right.
I have an affirmative responsibility to protect my employees from harassment and speak up if somebody is saying something that is disparaging about them in public, or perhaps disclosing information about them that frankly would be more of a personnel matter, and I would try to address that in the most careful way possible. People have the constitutional right to say some of those things, but I'd want to protect my employees from that kind of adverse type of behavior.
I want to say 2 years ago, maybe a little longer than that, we did have a disclaimer for public.
Yeah,
for
but we
public comment.
can't use that anymore
So that
because the
was-
Supreme Court threw it out the
They
door.
threw it out, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So you just have to sit and keep your fingers crossed.
So I had that concern, but I had another concern about restricting the cross-out. I know, personally, of course, I would love to ask people to refrain from commenting, criticizing, or otherwise disparaging the select board. I think I'm fine with requesting people not disparage, but I think we're in these public positions, and asking them to refrain from commenting or criticizing.
Right, that's why
I
they're
think
here.
they were, yeah. So I definitely think that that should not be in there. We should not be requesting that they refrain from commenting or criticizing.
But to Sean's point, you know, to talk.
At least for select board
Yeah,
members.
yeah, no, we
Right.
signed up for this.
Yeah.
So we can take it. But as far as town staff.
Right.
And these matters that may become personnel matters, those should be directed to the town administrator and outside of public comment.
Yeah, and it seemed like the following bullet point carried
Says exactly
the
that.
commentary, criticism, and statements of town staff, so that sort of covered it. So we felt okay with removing it alongside the select board members. But if we wanted to say other resident groups or individuals, we can add that to that last line, and then we can see if that works for town council. So we're just consolidating.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Perfect.
Okay, so we'll take a look at this over to here.
But in terms of town staff, where does the town administrator sit in that regard? Because I would think that we would be open to the public commenting or criticizing the town administrator.
Isn't there another?
We don't
section that
have a
addresses
choice.
the town administrator?
Right, no, but I mean, just what we're saying here, requesting
Oh,
right now,
okay.
like,
Well, this is,
are we even I mean,
I think in the town administrator section, it speaks to that.
Does
I
it?
think.
okay.
You know,
But if we talk about town
Privately,
staff,
Yep.
that would include you, right?
So,
I mean,
town administrators, we all have different standards.
Yep.
We are more subjected to criticism in our positions. And so there's a legal threshold for what different positions certainly expect in terms of public criticism. But certainly, you know, I am still a professional employee of the town. I'm not an elected official. I don't have the same privileges or opportunities to defend myself as an elected official. I have to purport myself in a manner that is consistent with standards of professionalism. So I'm at a disadvantage in some ways. So generally helpful if the board helps to ensure that, you know, town administrators aren't completely unsupported when they're being unfairly.
yeah, that's
criticized.
disparaging, I think, for anyone that shouldn't be. So I don't know, there might be, if you guys are going to go back and noodle this a little bit,
Yep.
there might be like 3 levels. For town staff, maybe for town administrator might be in the middle, and select board might be 3 different levels of what's allowed. But, think about that.
all right. Next.
So do we have,
Section.
can we move on past correspondence? Are we good?
I'm good.
Yep.
Okay. Chapter 4, annual goals and timelines. I have B, under B, calendar of annual responsibilities. I've got a couple adjustments in here.
Okay.
Under May, Sean, May is where we want to put annual sewer and water?
Yes, I
Or are we
think.
putting it in April?
Um,
I think
May
we
is,
said May. We said
yep, May is town meeting, and so I think
Right.
it will mean that it has to get presented in March when the board is reviewing the warrant.
All right, so you want to pop it up to March, right?
It's in August now.
So we're going to pop that in, annual sewer and water goes to March?
So we're gonna
Well,
do-
you're gonna see it in March. It'll get voted on May at the annual town meeting, and that's, you know,
Right,
I
but
just-
it has to be at the select board
be
in
August,
March,
yeah.
okay?
So how do we vote on it in August now?
Right.
We don't?
We did, but
We
we don't, we're not going to now. We're going to take it out.
for years, you know, Katie, prior, I think, to your tenure on the board would always meet in August and set the water and sewer rates, and they would get typically voted on at a fall town meeting.
We just voted on them though last month,
You did?
right?
No, you voted on
No.
them at the annual town meeting. We
And we
actually.
voted on some increase to water and sewer just last month. Did we not?
Certainly since you've been on the board.
Yeah.
I thought it was in,
So what,
I don't remember.
we,
I don't
Is that
remember.
May?
Oh, you would like to move the August date to March?
to March?
yes,
Okay. Just for the notes.
yes. So also
There's a lot
under,
happening in March.
take out
It's
August.
impressive.
It's all budget.
take out, so take out the annual water sewer out of August.
Yep.
In November, we have a charter mandate for financial review. I just forget what that is off the top of my head. So got to pop that in there.
Financial
Yeah, it's a
review.
5-year forecast.
And then on the quarterly reports for financials, I just want to double check with Amy. On the quarterly reports, does she want the quarterly report a month after the quarter ends or 2
month.
weeks after?
Typically, it's a month.
Okay.
Hard to say that all the bills come in within that 2 weeks. We usually get them in 2 weeks, and she's got to reconcile, you know, for a week.
So what do you want to do?
So I just want to, let's just double check with Amy, because I think what we should actually even pop it in.
Mary Ellen, I'm here.
Oh, Jesus.
The voice.
Hi. Oh, my God. Don't worry about the heart attack, Amy. Okay.
Sorry, I do the recording 10 days after the month closes.
You do it 10 days after the month closes?
Yep, so you'll always have it by the 15th.
All right, so we could say,
Why don't you just put in quarterly,
January, April,
all right,
quarterly for financial,
so that would be
It says it right there.
July, August, September. July, August, September, so that means October 15th, right?
Yep.
Yep, okay.
October,
Jan 15, April 15,
Jan. Okay.
July 15.
April, July.
Okay,
All right, we'll add that.
all right. And I was just wondering, Amy, I was thinking capital improvement discussion. Should we start that should we have that on the agenda to start that in September or October? To try to get that?
We've been starting it in August, and I'd like that to be the standard going forward.
Is that, you want that on that's what you want the select board agenda to look like? Put it in August?
If you're going to have it, then yeah, I would like, we've been trying to kick the process off in the summer.
Okay.
And that's what we've been working with capital improvement on.
So CIC discussion? Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there anything else in here that you think we need to be?
So the charter that you mentioned is November 15th. The town administrator is supposed to notify the school committee, the finance committee, and the select board of the revenue projection for the upcoming year.
Okay.
We've informally turned it into a multi-year forecast.
Okay.
And then
So it's an annual revenue projection?
so basically November 15th, you would have a revenue projection, very, very preliminary for FY26 to set the framework of what we're working towards as we develop those budgets.
All right, I think we need to double check the language in the charter. We can do that, check language.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
So then we can remove.
Is there anything else that you're recommending, Amy?
That's all the requirements, so it's more of if there's anything else that you want to see.
So under quarterly reports, it says that we'll review the following in open session on a quarterly basis, but the operating budget, that's what we're just adding to the calendar above, right? So it would be redundant to say it again?
No, so
what did Amy just ask to be added? A quarterly?
Amy is saying what the chart, are you talking about the quarterly? When she's getting, so the quarterly, she's gonna be giving us just a quarterly munis update on the budget.
Right. but
On the
see down
operating
below-
budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I can take it out of this reference below because we're
bottom.
adding it to the
Yeah,
calendar. Yeah, okay, great. And then the capital improvement project year-to-date, including status of such projects, so you want that to be in August, correct?
No, see, the problem, so we want to have a discussion in August, but at some point, we're going to want to have an update, a year-to-date update.
Okay, so we'll leave
Probably,
the reference, well, they're saying quarterly.
Right.
We're saying quarterly, that would be.
yeah, you know what, let's call that quarterly, too.
Okay.
So do you
The
want to
idea is that you'll get monthly, year-to-date expenditures, quarterly, much more in-depth financial forecasts.
Yeah.
Just so you stay connected to, trends that are happening within certain categories in the town budget.
Okay,
That's
so
the
we are
best
going to we'll have a quarterly review on capital. But we also have a quarterly review on the budget. You're saying we should also add a monthly review in the budget?
You should get,
Because we should be getting a monthly review in our
but
mail.
I don't think you need to have you can have them, it can come up during select board comment, hey, look, I'm noticing a trend in overtime or this, that, and we can follow up, with an update on that, but just having that information is gonna help everybody stay focused on managing to budget. That's the responsibility that we have.
Okay. All right, we're good with that.
Also, when we get audited and we get rated, it's important that they know that Finance Committee, Select Board are looking at monthly and quarterly financial updates. And that's been one of the things that we get flagged positively on in our rating agencies review.
Okay. Okay.
Chapter 5, anybody? Chapter 5, anybody?
Chapter 5?
There was just a typo, we fixed it.
Yeah, no, that was,
Chapter 6, Diane made some updates to the board and committees.
Hold on, chapter
Yeah.
6, it's Recreation Commission, Diane, not Recreation Committee.
Oh, okay.
yeah, there's a couple of those.
That's a Scrivener issue, we
Okay.
don't need.
Well,
Is constables really a committee?
You know what, it's in the charter. We pulled that from the charter.
Amazing.
Doug, you had other ones?
yep, Climate Action and Resilience Committee?
Climate action.
Plan or committee?
That's what I just said, Climate Action and
Climate
Resilience
Action and
Committee.
Resilience Committee,
Oh.
They
okay.
do have a plan.
But they need a
Now we're
first.
working the plan.
A man, a plan.
Planning the work and working the.
And so this is supposed to be, it's a little, it tripped me up at first because this is like the select board handbook and we've got all these standing committees. These aren't all under our purview, which is kind of noted down below.
Right.
But it seems, I don't know, it
Should
seems
be
kind of
broken
weird to
out.
me that they're even in here in a way, but,
You're onto something. Because it's always going to change.
well, no, not only that, but like the Board of Assessors, the Board of Health, like,
These aren't
They should be
advisory
they're independent,
committees.
the Retirement Board,
They're
you know, like.
established by the charter and independent, yeah.
But they should be broken out separately, right?
I
Is that
just
what you're
think,
saying?
if you're a new select board member,
This is just notifying you.
if you're a new select board member, it's just kind of interesting to see, oh, here are all the committees that we have, at this point in time. It gets updated from time to time, and you might be assigned as a liaison to one of them, I think that's the purpose of having those.
You may also have to vote to put somebody on here. For example, the Board of Health.
Yeah, but you wouldn't put somebody on the school committee, so they really shouldn't be all together. Do you know what I mean?
When
It should be
they-
broken out by the ones that you're,
We just-
by category. Do you know what I mean? Advisory boards, select, whatever it is, select board, advisory committee, they should be broken out.
Yeah, we can,
Yeah,
we can
as
do that.
opposed to like your
Right,
regulatory
but I'm saying like
committees.
school committees
Yeah.
shouldn't be in there, because that's not something we would ever appoint to, right?
Right, so it is not, right, because you guys crossed it out, you're right, exactly the point, exactly.
No, it's still on there, it's just that they.
Oh,
just
Oh,
have
there it
different
is,
in a different
okay,
spot.
Yeah.
okay.
So that's what I mean.
Gotcha.
We can,
Yep,
we
got
can
it.
So,
rework
Danielle, I
it
think
so
you've got a good
it's
point.
better.
Let's categorize them to
categorize.
Right.
advisories, to regulatory,
Standalone
To-
boards, right.
non,
Fun boards.
Elected, whatever it is, however you want to
I want to
call
be on a
it.
fun board.
This is a fun board.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh, on the other page, we have Water Sewer Rate Review Advisory Committee. That's no longer, that's in the Water Sewer Infrastructure Advisory Committee. It was folded in.
Been
Right,
folded
that's
in.
why it's
it
crossed.
morphed into the graduate.
Mine wasn't crossed out.
Well, it is in one spot, and then
It's added again.
it's added again, so I don't know.
Keeps popping up. So that goes, you got that?
And then,
Chapter 6, 2,
Athletic fields.
there was just a reference to, it is the select board that makes the ultimate decision, and their authority is limited. Just for clarity's sake, I think we should
Where
just
are
say,
you?
Where are you?
Where are you?
top paragraph of Chapter 6, 2.
A2.
A2, sorry.
Two?
Yeah, just where it
Advisory
says,
committee?
and their authority is limited, I just think it would be more clear if we said the authority of the advisory committee
Yep.
is limited. That's all.
Yeah.
Small
Board
change.
that makes the ultimate decision and their.
Wait, just read,
and
which one are you on?
at
Is
the-
it
Up here.
Of the
Turn
advisory.
up
the
here?
page.
I am too.
Turn the page. At the very top.
Okay.
These committees handle a particular function of area study. It's important for members of those committees to understand that while they make recommendations, it is the select board that makes the ultimate decision, and the.
Authority of the advisory committee.
The authority of the advisory committee is limited.
Yep.
That's all.
Okay, so these advisory committees, and we're positive, we've got these categorized as, because it's news to me that like renewable energy is just advisory as opposed to an actual committee, but you guys have already scrubbed that?
I mean, I have not, no, I actually
No, I
made the
was looking at
comment.
Diane, sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, like you've scrubbed the fact that the things that are under advisory committees are really the advisory?
It's the best that I could, yes.
Okay,
Well, we could take another
We can
gander
take a
at it,
little
Doug.
look.
yeah.
If there's any particular one you are concerned about, we'll
Renewable energy.
take a triple check.
Yeah, renewable energy doesn't really, I'm not sure how much, frankly, I understand the difference between advisory or not, but anyway, that was a question mark. The other thing is, didn't we just create 2 new kind of veterans-oriented committees? Are those?
We haven't seated them.
We haven't seen them yet.
Yeah. And those are,
List them though.
those are actual committees, right, not just advisory?
Diane, can you move?
They're
your
advisory.
mouse?
The select board is gonna have to credential
They're-
every vote of these committees. These committees don't have standing in the town charter or in any Massachusetts general law. The select board does. And so.
These committees, the 2 vet ones?
That's right.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And so, you know, they're generally, any committee the board seats, you seat them under your auspices, your power.
Right.
And they'll make recommendations to you, and you'll decide to accept or reject them.
Sorry to belabor this, but back to the other one. Council on Aging, do we appoint?
I don't know.
That's your committee.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, you're the governing body.
I thought that was like the retirement committee. I mean, that's,
No, that's different.
No,
okay.
I know that.
Are we under appointment process?
We are.
Yes.
We made it.
So I'm gonna go to bullet point 3 unless somebody has something on bullet point 1 or 2.
Yep.
To ensure boards and committees have membership residing in Swampscott. What happens if we have people that aren't in Swampscott? We don't have a policy on that.
Well, there are statutory opportunities to allow for certain members to serve on boards that don't live in Swampscott. For instance, you know, if you have a need for a certain expertise for a conservation commission or a planning board, like, and you need that expertise, and you're, you know, many communities have sought to have the statutory approval to appoint individuals who don't live in the town to serve on the boards.
So does this hold us up? It says, I mean, you did take out in only Swampscott, but because it says Swampscott, does that cause any problems?
I like this. I mean, you can achieve what you're talking about with some additional phrasing. The goal for the
Yeah.
appointment process is people in Swampscott.
Absolutely.
Right.
You want to be self-governed.
Right.
Right.
Generally, but
Right.
in a few, you know, in a few unique situations, you know, there may be an opportunity for the town to actually be served better or well-served by somebody that doesn't live in town.
Okay. All right. I'm good with that.
So I think, you know, the sentence could read somewhere, whenever possible, individuals serving on boards or commissions shall reside within the town of Swampscott. Or,
Do we need to change that?
I'm
Or
fine with
but
it the way it
she's
is.
saying-
because
Yeah,
it's
I
just a
think
goal.
Goals.
right?
Yeah, I think
Goals.
it's a goal.
Yeah.
Right.
It's attainable
It's not a
in
mandate.
most
Okay.
situations, but not a mandate.
Okay, I'm good.
6B2,
62.
Yeah.
process, just the
Right.
next. F.
F.
Each application is reviewed by appropriate town staff and forwarded to select board members to be reviewed and graded on a scale of 1 to 5 prior to applications being sent to select board member. Liaison should communicate any specific skills and/or needs the committee is looking for. Select board members are encouraged to interview candidates.
Okay, so is is the grade from 1 to 5 from staff, from the select board? I mean.
From the select board.
That's from the.
Yeah, it says each application is reviewed by the appropriate town staff and forwarded to select board members to be reviewed
Be reviewed
and
and-
graded on a scale of 1 to 5. So.
Okay, and then it says select board members are encouraged to interview candidates. So which select board members are all of us calling up?
I had confusion about this also,
Yeah,
David.
yeah, so is it just the lead?
Because I thought just the liaisons
liaison?
were taking
Right.
on the task of interviewing.
So-
I didn't think all of us were taking.
I agree.
Looking at every
If
single
you're-
Are we supposed to be
application,
looking at every
single
candidate
boarding
for every
committee.
board?
I feel like
Because
that's
I don't have
practice.
time to do
doing it.
that.
Here's, you don't have to, you don't, if you're gonna make a recommendation on somebody, if you're gonna make a recommendation and you feel like, what about this person and this person, and what's the difference between them? You should, if you feel, be able to pick up the phone and make a call, and then you could make your recommendation.
For a board that somebody else is the liaison.
Right. Because you're gonna be advancing.
I trust my 4 colleagues, honestly.
If you're gonna be grading people and recommending them.
I don't want to grade people.
Yeah.
I don't want to, I want to grade my own group, right? I want to be a
discussed
teacher of
this.
my own
We
But I
class.
discussed this
think
at the
we are
last-
interpreting it differently.
Yeah.
That's why we're discussing
Yeah.
it again.
Right,
So
so,
I think my recollection, because for example, Diane has been emailing out board and committee applications, and
Right.
multiple times I've emailed Diane back to say, why are we all on these? Just
Right.
the liaison should be on these. So that's what I thought that we had approved.
Right.
Yeah. I just think there's better use of our time
Agreed.
than us
Yeah.
grading,
agree.
your committees to which you're the liaison. I really want to leave it to staff or the chair of the board and committee to really get to a number. I just think also discussion of volunteers and qualifications in public meetings
Yes.
where we're
Well-
talking about somebody being a 1 or a 2.
Yep.
But that-
I just think is
that
gonna
wouldn't be in a public meeting.
I just think it's going to be off-putting, but if we're having that
But
conversation.
you're gonna have a public record, and
Right.
like, for me, I just
Right.
wanna play it out. I think you're elected officials, and any kind of correspondence you have is gonna be a public record, and,
Right.
we talked about this years ago, and it was sort of like the recommendation that we would kind of help handle that as professional staff, and we'd work with the chair on the appointments, just to make sure that through the chair, we would have a little bit, I like the idea, though, that the liaisons on the board play a little bit of a stronger role, because I think that alignment makes better sense, but I think it would be probably better to let the staff kind of help the liaison with that. That way, we keep the records, it's not part of a public,
So I think, of course, the staff keeping the records. But I think that it's very, very important that we have applicants who are looking to be on committees that are advisory committees to the select board. And in the past, we've had people come and be nominated as people to the select board, and it's town staff that are telling us who's here, you should be here. And meanwhile, I know at times town staff didn't even have the chance to interview, or looking at things last minute, or really not look at all that. That's why I want to see more of an opinion on members of the board,
Yeah.
on who they want to see.
Well, I think that's the role of the liaison.
Yeah, that's the point of the
I think that's the role of the liaison,
But there are
right?
times,
To have that
candidly,
stronger
like,
say.
you all get busy too, and yes, staff can be busy. We've also leaned into the board and committee chairs to look at that, and I know we've had a discussion that we don't want to have groupthink with boards and committees. We're here to kind of check, the,
Well, that's the other topic. I am adamant that I don't want to see committee chairs lining up the people that they want on these committees, because we do get groupthink, and we do get people that are put there because they're friends, or who they know, or whatever. It's
understood,
got to be
understood.
more
totally agree with
equity
that.
and
I
opportunity
totally
for
agree with
people.
that.
Listen,
Yeah, but we've got a couple different issues going on here.
Right, let's
And
deal
if
with
you
this
read
one
through-
first.
If you read through what we've got here, we're trying to emphasize the outreach, which starts to influence hopefully the funnel, right?
Right,
Of the different candidates. And if you're concerned about certain committees being kind of groupthink, then the point is to get people to apply, to
Right.
get in the funnel, right?
Right.
And then all those people are going to be evaluated in F here by appropriate town staff and forwarded to the select board members, all of us, is what this says. Everybody's getting all of them, so you're going to get visibility. If you got a problem, let the liaison know at that point,
Okay.
right?
Uh-huh.
Right? And the liaison should communicate any specific skills and or needs the committee is looking for. In some ways, that should have gone into the notice
Yeah.
to begin with.
Right.
But it's also maybe a point here of, you've got another opportunity, now you're evaluating candidates. Remember, everybody, if you're thinking about this, this is important or this is important when you're giving me feedback. But ultimately, it comes down to the liaison who's really interviewing people
Right.
and taking into consideration all that information.
Sounds good.
So
I have to say, though,
You're gonna remove,
to say that we're going to grade people on a scale of 1 to 5, I am not in favor.
you can remove that.
language.
I thought that
That
came
is
from you,
never,
actually.
that did not come from me.
I agree with that, too.
That did
I
not
think
come
that's
from
it.
me.
Thank you.
No, just so you know, that was presented at the select board meeting. Remember, we had the meeting when we talked about rats?
Yes.
And you did a presentation.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we
right on the
talked
board,
about this
right on the
process.
board.
but I said-
1 to 5.
I never saw
I think
graded on a scale of.
after further consideration.
Yes, yes.
Absolutely
Okay,
not.
So we're going to remove and grade it on a scale of 1
Thank
to
you.
5, and then we are going to say in the last sentence, select liaisons are encouraged to interview candidates.
Yes,
Yeah.
select board
Right.
liaison.
Select board
Yes.
liaisons.
Okay.
I do think, like, one of the things that I think is most, effective when the board meets with individuals to serve on various committees is the board interviews the individuals to serve on the committees. Like, that's generally, we've always tried to bring the appointees to the committee, have the board ask a few questions, have the candidates for these committees say a few reasons why they want to serve on the committees. A lot of these committees are very important, and it just highlights the importance of these committees.
They're all important.
They are.
Yeah.
And again, it's time, but, it's just an opportunity for the board to thank some members or even just talk about the role of some of the committees. And we do move quickly.
Okay.
Okay, so
Chapter
actually, that's not, so, I'll take another look at this process, because I think that doesn't flow correctly with the following.
Yeah,
Right.
we're a little
So-
redundant now.
Right.
Now we're being
Yeah.
redundant.
Yeah.
So now that we all fully understand what the process
Yes.
is, I'll take
Tweak
another tweak at
Yeah.
that order, because I think there's some additional information
Yeah.
that's unnecessary.
All right. Financial management, chapter 7.
What is that town?
It's just smushed. It literally says town finances. It's just smushed. I don't know why it did that.
Wow, there's not much to say about financial management.
Yeah.
2 paragraphs.
Not much
All right.
there.
You know what, do we have in the calendar, do we have the setting of the tax rate?
Yes.
We love that calendar. We just love that calendar, Fletcher.
So town meeting, we just had a typo.
Under town meeting?
Yeah, under C, there was a
Okay.
typo, and then chapter 9, town administrator.
I needed a point of clarification for C.
Yep.
So it was the third item, consistent with general bylaws and town charter, that the select board and the individual members thereof must respect and support the authority of the town administrator and the chains of command within the administration, period. Similarly, the select board and individual members thereof must consult with the town administrator relative to all matters of employment, discipline, and termination of administrative personnel. What is that change to me kind of looks that, yeah, it flips it, and it looks like that the select board would essentially be making decisions on a pari passu basis with the town administrator relative to matters of employment, discipline, or termination of administrative personnel. And I'm just concerned that that gets too much into the day-to-day affairs of the town, and is outside of the purview of the select board, and might go against our charter as well. I just didn't have enough time to cross-reference.
So first of all, was that the intent? With the change?
Read it, hold on. So it's basically speaking to, if the town administrator is getting ready to terminate administrative personnel, specifically, I think it's more geared towards terminating somebody that's a department head or an upper-level position, that he will consult with us, he or she will consult with us before doing that.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but appointed positions cannot be terminated without the vote of the select board.
Per the charter, there are certain positions.
Is that true? I know we have a role in appointing, Does it?
We have a role
in
in terminating
Yes,
also.
Yep, the appointed positions, there is, if we were to terminate an employee, they would have the opportunity to kind of have a hearing before the board.
But this doesn't say that. This
Well, we
just
could
says,
leave it the way it was if that is what we are meant to do. If we're meant to be clarifying between the rights we have under the charter for appointed positions, if that's what the consultation piece is meant to clarify, we can leave it the way it was, must respect the town administrator's decisions relative to all matters of employment and disciplines, and termination of administrative personnel, excluding whatever the charter says, in which case.
I mean, it just gives you, it gives the town administrator kind of an omnipotent position, right? Where they are, there's not really a balance, right? In case of some questionable action or something that, and I'm not saying this exists or would ever exist, but there's the potential for a little bit of checks and balances when you're looking to.
A town administrator does not have unchecked authority. We have a number of state and federal laws that govern the responsibilities of every city and town administrator to purport themselves in a manner that's consistent with what is fair and just. What I worry about most is individuals that would interfere with, the professional administration of the town and create a situation where, personnel information comes to a public body that is hard to control and becomes part of, a politic. And for me, that's what we're trying to guard against. That's why we have language in here that says, hey, here's the day-to-day responsibilities, here's the public policy board's responsibilities. I get what you're trying to, protect against. Town administrators do have a lot of authority.
Mhm.
They have a lot of power. So do select boards. So to some extent, some department heads. They have the responsibility to manage the performance and the expectations of their charge. But those are serious responsibilities. Employees have rights. Many of the employees have contracts. They have standards and expectations. I'm not sure exactly how.
Perhaps we amend that to say, just termination of administrative personnel, because when you're talking about terminating somebody that's under contract,
Yep.
there are implications of that
I think that's
don't think
consistent
should
with
be
the charter.
just.
Like financial.
I don't think that should be a decision that we're not part of, at least from a consultation point.
Yep.
Right, because there could be far-reaching consequences, there's liability there.
There is.
And I wouldn't be comfortable with anybody making that decision individually.
For the department, for the
people that are named in the charter.
enumerated positions in the town
Yeah.
charter.
so can we just?
Discipline, I don't care, I mean, that's.
Right, that's already, yeah.
Inconsequential.
So we can just make
We
this,
could leave it the way it was, and then we can add,
tie it to the charter.
the language in the charter.
Yeah.
And only under terminations. Terminations and.
What happens if, do we have it in here? What happens if you have a department head who's having an issue with the town administrator?
That's further,
Okay,
that's the last paragraph of D.
okay.
And it speaks to the town administrator.
D, it's in D?
I think it's under, is it D? Or,
Yeah, I see right here.
And that's the evaluation.
No, that's the
no,
evaluation.
there's another
Yeah.
spot.
So under evaluations, we have to double check the charter, and I think we've got to rework this because it's got to fit within the charter and within contract. So right now, we have a charter, we have a
It's under
contract, and we
relations
have a
with town
handbook.
staff.
And we just have to go back and just figure out proper language for that. right this second.
Yep.
Okay.
Don't you have it memorized?
Public case law and all sorts of other things that.
Well, we went through this, though.
Yeah, we've already done this once before, so are we assuming that when we did it the first time, we did not
I don't think we,
consult the charter and the contract?
I don't think we did.
So,
We did.
We did?
I think
So it is right?
well, I don't know if it's, I can't speak to whether it's right or not, but I can speak to, I'm sure Polly, when she drafted, she
Oh,
looked
yeah.
at those things,
Polly
so.
spent, a lot of time on this.
6 months.
But we can look again, charter. Also,
I mean, I was right earlier, and I'm looking at this now. Want to
okay,
roll the dice here. Okay, so,
yeah,
We'll double check.
I guess two important notes, just quickly.
okay.
Is that, I don't know, David, you are the only member who was on when this was originally discussed. Maintaining the town administrator's personnel file in the town administrator's office. So we changed it
never
to
heard of
human
that.
resources, if anybody,
Yeah, it's always been in the HR office. So I just
Okay.
want you to-
okay, cool.
D.
So it's not a big
Why it
deal
says
then.
town admin. I guess Polly missed that one.
Yeah.
I guess Polly didn't put the right one in there then, because that's what was there.
I have a question on because this question comes up. The chair should consider the town administrator's feedback when finalizing, oh, you took that out. But,
Yes.
I mean, it's always just a best practice from HR. If a evaluator doesn't consider the feedback from the person being evaluated, that's just
Agreed.
But is that the right place to do it, I guess?
Under evaluations?
Well, it's a
No,
little
no, I don't mean
redundant,
that,
though,
although-
too. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Doug, what?
Well, the sentence before it makes it a little, the chairman and town administrator shall discuss the comments prior to the public presentation.
Right,
I mean, then adding another sentence is kind of the same thing, so.
yeah,
Yeah.
That is.
So I think you've
that
got
is
to,
feedback.
yeah, I think,
it's not as explicit,
That's right.
all right.
okay?
So my next question is, we used to, Board of Selectmen, each individual
where are you?
board member, I'm just on the paragraph right after that one, once finalized, each individual board member would do the evaluation, and that document would be a public document.
That's okay.
That document would be a public document. Now what we do is we combine everything and then just make the summary. So at some point, we changed, and I'm just wondering, why did we change?
It was based on the advice of council.
We can check with council. I mean, as long as we've been on the board, we've drafted,
Right, but before
reviews,
that,
but
but,
those reviews were non-public, and then they were compiled into a public review.
right, but my question is, why aren't they public? Shouldn't the public know?
We can find out.
Yeah, I have a lot of department heads, I have to do their evaluations. Those generally are considered to be private. When you evaluate employees in the private sector, that's protected human resources. Now, yes, town administrators have a public evaluation, but it's a consolidated evaluation. There may be differences of opinion among a board. Some of those opinions may be stronger than others, but, the way that legal standards have kind of framed it is that, they get consolidated into a single evaluation, and they get presented as a consolidated evaluation document.
I hear what you're saying. I think what I'm questioning is, shouldn't the public know what each one of us, how each one of us is evaluating? And I'm open, I'm just throwing it out there because people have called and asked questions, and I do recall that's how we used to do it. So I just want to know more about that.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're on chapter 10, board relationships, relationships with other boards and commissions. Oh, I have to, on the liaison thing? So, on the liaison thing, Neil Duffy actually had said to me, just send, I'm gonna pick the liaisons and send them out, and that's what you did, and then that's what I did, but we did it wrong.
We didn't vote.
We didn't vote. So, and I think that to turn around and sit and have, I think,
We vote, last year we
We did not
voted.
vote maybe
We
recently.
didn't vote for the.
We-
But we have voted in the
I
past.
don't remember us voting with you.
We have
We
voted
did.
in the past.
We did?
Yes, yes.
Do, we
have.
did.
We did.
Yes.
We did?
So maybe we need to vote,
All right,
but
so,
we have voted.
all right, well, I think I'm fine with we should definitely, I don't have any problems with voting. What I just want to stay away from is having a big discussion. I want this committee, I want that committee, oh, you vote for me, you vote for that. I mean, I don't mind if we have
Democracy's messy.
I don't mind if we have a draft.
Consent agenda.
That's
But-
fine.
Do you think that this paragraph invites that?
What, a draft?
No, like a
Yeah, I think it
conversation where we're
does. I think,
politicking for votes amongst the board.
yeah, I think it's a little bit,
It would be input. Maybe someone would have a good idea about why they should be a good person for the committee that wasn't otherwise, known.
So
Yeah, I mean,
so we're gonna vote on who gets to be a liaison, and then we're just gonna,
I mean, how it's happened
is
in the
any committee gonna get anything done ever? Because
I mean, how it's
we're
happened
just
in the past
re-voting and voting on people, voting on liaisons, what do we?
yes,
We
Ranking,
didn't
not
change
ranking.
anything.
We
did
never,
it
I've
before.
never been, we've never done it.
Right.
Change
Yeah.
to the chair's suggestion.
No, typically if you want to do something and Katie doesn't,
Yeah.
swap a row, it's all good.
Yeah.
all right, so just leave it the way we've always been doing it?
I think,
And this language here doesn't?
I think if
screw
it
us up at all?
ends up in a final, and if it ends up in a great debate, then
Yeah,
Okay,
then we vote.
I welcome it.
okay.
Right.
Can we? Yeah.
We can do rock,
Talk
paper,
about it.
scissors.
How about
everything
How about we
else
vote
there,
for,
so.
no, I don't wanna be on any of them, how about that? Is that an option?
I like the rock, paper, scissors idea,
I would like 0. Let's,
It's a joust to the end.
like to the death.
okay.
This is the part where Peter always made a very, very compelling case here, to remind liaisons that you need to keep your personal opinions and your personal stuff out of what the boards, out of your respective boards and your committees. So I'm not sure if you feel like that's clear enough here.
I was fine with the previous language that was included, which was,
Yeah.
should be careful not to usurp the prerogative of the chair. But
Yep.
shall generally respect autonomy is fine too.
Okay.
That piece is just at attendance at other committee meetings, so that, I don't know.
Right, that's not when you're the
So
liaison.
that's just in that situation, that's not overall.
So why don't we strike towards that end when attending the meetings of other boards, just say board members and board members.
Well, this whole section's about attendance at other
Exactly.
committee
Oh,
meetings.
okay, yeah, okay. I'll be quiet now.
If you
I don't even know
want,
if it's-
the spirit of that strikes through, we can just move it up to the liaison section.
I mean, the whole paragraph, does it even need to be there? I don't know, is that a thing?
Attendance at other
Attendance at
meetings?
other-
I think throw it out.
I mean,
think it's
I
a
don't know.
thing.
Does that happen
Yeah,
frequently?
It's
a
Let's just
thing.
leave it in.
It
Can't
should
hurt.
leave it in. It has a purpose, I feel like.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to take that, should be careful not to usurp the prerogative of the chair to the liaison,
To two.
to two.
Yeah, I like that.
But we could say liaisons should help guide the goals and actions of the committees to which they've been appointed. Towards this end, liaison should communicate with each committee's chair and should be careful not to usurp the prerogative
Great.
of the chair.
It doesn't need its
Like
own
that.
subset, yeah.
Right.
Okay, let's put it there.
Okay.
I think it's better served there.
Are we on to B?
Yes,
So,
So I had a question. It seems like we added in assistant town administrator here. And is that simply with the thinking that sometimes an assistant town administrator is kind of the known point person on something, so it's just a matter of straight logic to, include that assistant town administrator and when there's a question that comes up?
Well, it was
Well, what do
added
you
in
do when the
some
town
place.
administrator's on vacation or not available, or
But they would be the
on leave
acting
of
town
absence,
administrator.
or on,
Right.
they what?
They would be the acting town administrator.
I mean, would they? I mean, if they're on vacation?
Yeah.
Okay, but they're still technically the assistant town administrator, no? That's still their title?
Right, but I think the import is still that you're contacting the town administrator or his or her replacement, right?
Representative.
Yeah, you could say that, too.
If that was.
That was the
if
thought
was-
process,
was
that
the-
if
oh,
they're
that was
ever
the-
not
Yeah,
there.
Oh, that's the only
or
point? Okay.
incapacitated, or,
Okay,
you know,
okay.
We can just say, or their representative.
or their designee, whatever,
Or
you know,
designee.
just to basically have another,
Designee
A backup.
probably makes sense.
Right, it has actually more
Yeah, that's
flexibility
all.
to it in a way, yeah.
Yeah, and then it was referenced below, so when we cross out the sentence below, we just wanted to put it.
Yeah, I just
Right.
thought 10B run,
because it was already in there.
Yep.
I just thought 10B ran counter to 9C. I'm for delegation, I'm just not, I guess just as written, it just confuses the chain of command.
But now, if we get rid of
So if we-
assistant town administrator and just say or designee, do you still do that?
Yeah,
Is that better? Is that okay?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
yep, yep.
Did you want to remove the reference to assistant town administrator below also?
Yeah, at the end of the paragraph, the last
Yes.
sentence,
Mhm.
yes,
Town
please.
administrator or their designee. We'll just say. Okay.
So on the very last one, any member of town staff approaches any member of the select board to raise a concern about the town administrator or another staff member, the board member should direct the individual to human resource director. Yep. that's
Yeah.
right.
It's
Yep.
fine. I don't
Yep.
mind what was
That's
crossed
fine.
out. I
Mhm.
think it just emphasizes the point, but
Mhm.
it's fine.
Council.
I just had a comment on D.
Mm-hmm.
2. An individual resident, a group of residents may request an appointment before the board by making a request in writing to the town administrator's office or the chair, stating the reason for the appearance, action desired. Subject to the matter being placed on the agenda, residents shall be given reasonable opportunity to make a presentation through the spokesperson as applicable, express opinions, and ask for pertinent information. I would just like to add a sentence. Any presentation or information discussed should be distributed to the select board at least 48 hours prior to the scheduled meeting.
Don't we speak to that at the beginning, where we asked for presentations as feasible or something? Was that?
I just think it would be helpful if it was clear and in this particular section. Since we've had 2 issues in the last 6 weeks, I think that spelling that out here would just be, would make it a little more clear.
And it does, it's a kind of a different context, like all the stuff that flows through.
Well, we just got this tonight, this afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I know.
So-
This morning.
So that means we wouldn't be able to talk about this?
Well, we did talk about 3 business days way back when, I think, that's, supposed to be the goal, the rule. There are exceptions. But it is different here because normally if I'm coming to talk at a meeting, I wouldn't think, I got to send something in advance. But normally our process, we know the supposed process is that we're getting everything like Thursday before.
But sometimes we're not.
Sometimes we're not. So it's not about like that, there's no way in the world this person could ever come and talk if it didn't happen, but still, like.
Well, so what about with Joe Duet, like something like that tonight? So,
When did we first we at least got that yesterday, day before?
No, 48 hours.
Yeah, it was posted on the.
got him right in under the, like,
Well, yeah, it must have been
seconds-
Monday, yeah.
Seconds
Yeah.
under the wire.
Okay, yeah. So that's.
But his
yeah.
presentation also wasn't provided to us in advance.
No.
Right.
The grant application and the information was, but not the presentation.
Yeah.
And he just did that to help
So does that
communicate.
mean he couldn't have?
Presented it?
Right.
I mean, there's exceptions, right, to everything,
It would
but
just be
we could
So it
just
should
say.
be best
we
best
should-
attempt,
We should
best
try,
attempt.
strive
When
to,
feasible.
or.
Yeah.
Dave, why don't you,
Attempt to.
Best practices. Yeah, I mean,
Or every attempt should be made.
sure.
and what is it? Every attempt should be made to provide. What was your sentence?
Yeah, to provide presentations or information discussed, to be discussed at the meeting, distributed to the select board at least 48 hours prior to the scheduled meeting. That just allows us to prepare.
48 hours.
Prepare, ask questions, and be as efficient as possible.
The meeting. Okay. Okay.
The one thing that I do question, the one thing, I'm sorry. We're all set here, but I have one question. Should we have a policy on cell phones at the table? Use of cell phones?
As we all have them sitting here.
Well,
Yeah.
Where do we-
we'll have them here, but I'm just wondering if we should have a policy on the actual use of cell phones at the, while you're sitting at the table. Saying no, I think we should. I think that select board members should be asked to stay off the cell phone unless there's, a real emergency or something like that, but
How do you know?
How would I know if I don't
No,
have a cell phone?
it's like, if I'm checking it, it's because
Very-
kids. or
Kids.
I have
family.
I have
They all
small
have
children.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying, Mary Ellen. I think we could just try to, if the question is, can we be better about it? Sure. Let's communicate that all to be maybe a little bit better about, have we got a little lax about the cell phone use at the table? Yeah, maybe we can be more respectful to one another about that, but I'm here volunteering. I know I'm an elected official,
Right.
but it's giving a lot of time and energy, and if I want to check if my kids are asleep or not, I should be able to do that.
My next question is social media. So we are absolutely going to pull those and get that information.
I've already got the school's
Yeah, we've already,
policies.
Okay.
we've already started down that road. We'll put pen to paper and then we'll review it like we did the rest of it,
All right.
second view.
So when do you want this, back on the agenda in 2 weeks?
I think 2 weeks.
Let's do it.
Diane?
Already on there.
Here we go.
Look at this.
All right.
And we'll,
And what about the code of conduct?
we'll be a little bit better about getting it to you earlier. There was an issue with redlining, and then
Formatting.
Diane wasn't sure what version to send you guys, so
Make your best effort.
we will.
And what about the code of conduct?
What about it?
Are we gonna review this?
That's next, right?
It wasn't on the,
You want to finish this first, or you want us to do it at the same time?
Should we start this in 2 weeks?
Yes. If at all. I don't have any issues with it, so I don't need to look at it at all, but if anyone else does.
I don't. I looked at the last
Well, it's a good thing we looked at this, Doug, because there were a number of errors in it, so.
Oh, no, I
Sure
wanted
there's
to look
not
at
in the
this.
code of
I asked
conduct
for it
also?
7 times, so no.
Yeah.
I'm happy to look at it and spend
Yeah.
That's
as
fine.
much- as much time as we need. That's fine.
All right. So Diane's got that on the schedule.
Are we volunteering Danielle and I to do it, or David, did you say you want to do it?
I didn't say anything.
I thought you just said you wanted to look at it.
No, no, no,
You'd be happy to look at it.
The
You'd be
agenda.
happy to look at it.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
All right, so Danielle and I will, since we're the president
What's
secretaries.
next?
All right.
Take a look
So, moving along. Votes of board, approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Wait, I would just like to pull the minutes from 9/4. Something came in this afternoon. I didn't have a chance to review it. I was reviewing the
Handbook.
handbook. So I'm fine with 8:20 and 8:29. I would just like to hold off on 9/4.
Okay, so Diane, we're gonna pop 9-4.
So moved.
Second. As
All in favor?
revised.
Of the consent agenda?
Right.
Oh, wait, do we have was there a request for a one-day liquor license for the Foxtrot?
Yep. That's on the consent.
It's on the consent agenda.
Yep.
No, I just have the race.
Number 1.
Oh, that's just the.
No. For the one-day liquor license.
We don't have one.
I don't have one.
Okay, but it was just in, it was in the, it was in the notes, or it was in the consent agenda. It said, that being said, attached is a request for a one-day liquor license. Bentwater has agreed to sponsor the beer garden. That's just in the, that's in the letter from Ashley Steves.
I don't think we've gotten the application.
We haven't gotten the sign off yet.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
I'll talk to Matt about that tomorrow to see if he has. it.
When is
Likely
that?
next
No, I know. I just,
So Diane, can you make a note that we need to have that?
Yep.
Okay, once again, I move the consent agenda without the 9-4 minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, now we're at Town Administrator's report.
All right. Thank you, Mary Ellen. This past week, I had Swampscott hosted a meeting with former Revere Mayor Brian Arrigo and current Commissioner of the Department of Conservation and Recreation, DCR, at the Hawthorne. I shared a number of updates on Swampscott's efforts to, revitalize Humphrey Street. I think a lot of the commissioners were really excited to be in the Hawthorne. It's impressive to really have the town own that facility. They did talk a lot about the dynamic between the Department of Conservation's linear park that runs from the Swampscott town line down to Nahant. I did mention that, we are looking to have a broader partnership with DCR. 2 years ago, I did send a letter on behalf of the board to seek that DCR engage with the town to take ownership of the town of Swampscott's existing seawall that wraps up to the Hawthorne property. We've recently updated that seawall. Won't need to be repaired for at least another 20 or 30 years and help save the town millions and give the state a chance to really maintain that entire area. We continue to work with a number of really great committee members to see how we can improve and expand the microforest in a way that helps to beautify the corner of Walker and Paradise. I realize there are a lot of folks that have a lot of passion and ideas for that corner, and appreciate the collaboration that is ongoing. Pleased that we have a new assessing agent. Want to thank our Board of Assessors and staff for pulling that together. We continue to have weekly meetings to talk about our efforts to bring a boutique hotel to Swampscott. We are working with Clearview and a number of partners to make that vision a reality. Additionally, with our Veterans Housing Project, we're working with our VFW stakeholders and a number of veterans groups to build consensus around the concept. Want to thank the neighborhood. We continue to work with a number of neighbors to really ensure that we have a good balance of support. I continue to work with our Historical Commission to discuss ways that we can help preserve the Glover property. Last week, I met with Richard Wilcox, a consultant who's preparing a report on a number of options for the Glover farmhouse. This week, I have been in a number of interviews last week as well for a number of vacancies. We had 8 interviews for firefighter candidates, absolutely some of the finest individuals I've had a chance to interview. Hopefully, we'll be moving forward with conditional offers for 3 vacancies we have in the next few days. Libraries been open on Saturday. Want to thank library staff. We're getting a lot of positive report from residents on the library being open on the weekend. Certainly want to recognize Matthew Waring, our new on-call library assistant. We are getting ready for a spooky October. DPW has been very busy with landscaping around town and working on a number of projects. Senior Center is accepting applications for anyone interested on being on the new Community Life Center Feasibility Task Force. You can get more information on our town website. Our town clerk, Jared LaLiberty, has been busy with election season. We have already 2,500 people that have voted, and He's breaking out his new poll pads that will be deployed next year to make voting even easier. We are seeing an uptick in COVID cases and a number of flu-like symptoms. Want to just encourage folks to get tested. We do have a flu clinic coming up on September 24th from 4 to 6 p.m. at the Senior Center. Registration is required. Remember to wear a short sleeve T-shirt. Encourage board members to head down there. You are out in the public and likely will be more susceptible. Want to really thank our rec team, Jackie and Danielle, for another tremendous Swamptoberfest. David, thank you. These no-cost, low-cost events are medicine. I can't stress enough how important it is to have multi-generational engagement with some of these activities. I do think there are ways that we can improve these events. After every one of these events, we have to action them, but we had thousands of people that came out and had a absolutely wonderful time, and really looking forward to continuing, a tradition for these events. We had an absolute rock star day with Porch Fest. Thanks, Joe. Heard nothing but more and more and more folks want to have a Porch Fest around the holiday seasons. I don't know if that's possible, but it would be great to see what we could do to get people out during the winter months. Car show's coming up on October 13th. We have a townwide yard sale. If you like to go yard sailing, this is the event. 30 participants. Get rid of your stuff. Don't throw it away. Sell it. Save us. I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right.
We did it.
We
sold it.
Yeah.
We sold it.
Well, we're going to have to plan another one. It's one of the better events in town. When we look at how much stuff gets taken out of the solid waste stream, we have to pay a tonnage cost for that. So it's great. Lastly, I just want to thank, Chief Archer and members of the Swampscott Fire Department for their annual 9/11 memorial. These events are so important. We have lost a number of residents, to the war on terror, but certainly, Captain Jennifer Harris, Corporal Raymond, and Justin Moores, and reporter Michael Kelly all have paid, the ultimate sacrifice for our freedoms. 9/11 is lost to so many young citizens that weren't alive then. So important that we talk about it and remind everybody just the important, freedoms that we have, and that, our responsibility to protect those. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you for your report. And now for select board time. Katie?
I have a couple of things. I just want to thank the school building committee and everybody who came out to celebrate the ribbon cutting of the new school. It was a lovely occasion. I was glad to see that many parents did not heed advice and brought their children to the ceremony, which was lovely, because as we were cutting the ribbon of the building, kids were playing on the playground and running through the hallways, and that's why we do what we do. So it's nice that they were there. Also, I want to talk a little bit about, the town administrator touched on the microforest. And I just want to let everybody know that last week, Salem State Professor Nicholas Jarin of the Geography and Sustainability Department took drone images of the microforest. So his background is in urban forestry, and he works for Bio4Climate on forests based in like Cambridge and Worcester. Throughout the summer he worked there. He sent video for us, which we can put out on the town website, of the microforest, and he took thermal images, and the thermal images are pretty impressive, and they show that current temperatures in the forest, the microforest, have decreased the temperature of the grasses that allow the vegetation to grow and protect the ecosystem and the bugs and all the good things that live under the forest. And there's a bunch of research about heat islands. It's pretty interesting stuff, although I'm not making it sound interesting. But what I can tell you it does do is that it helps address the goals of our climate action plan, which include enhancing and protecting and maintaining natural resources in public green space and adopting a landscape that practices and supports native biodiversity and improve water retention. So I know that there, as Sean has said, there are people who believe that it doesn't look as nice as it should, and maybe it looks as nice as it should because it's doing something greater. So I always will plug the microforest if I have the opportunity, and I think that's really important that we understand that everything doesn't always look perfect all the time. So.
David?
I'm good for now.
Doug?
I have several things, although Katie shortened one of them for me. Thank you. It is quite amazing to see the images that are put out there about the intensity of the heat inside the, like within 10 feet of each other. When the microforest, it's like 20 degrees Celsius difference. That's like 30 degrees difference. So that's why forests are important. And so thank you, Katie, for covering that. Financial Summit. Where do we stand with planning for that?
Yeah, we're working on it. We've had to slide a few weeks based on some responsibilities we have to sit down with our colleagues. So I can give you an update at our next meeting, but we've got the data. We've gone out, we've pulled the peer communities, charting and graphing it. We've got a slide deck together. Okay,
so we're doing it on our own, and so it's the time starting to slide. So
I know. So I think we are going to reach out and see if
don't put me in a place where I'm going to say I told you so. So
I thought we talked about
what happened to
third
the
party.
schools?
Yep.
What's that?
I thought we talked about a third party, didn't
We
did
talk about it. Yeah.
Yep. We have reached out. We're looking to bring somebody in that could help facilitate that.
Yeah. So I would strongly request that we have a date certain for when this thing's going to happen by the next meeting. And that, I would hope that date's in October. We said it was going to be in September.
We're going to have a date before the next meeting.
Okay, well, that's fine. But, so, because then we're going to be sliding into budget season and everything else, right? We need some time to process this. So
Sean has been working on a date.
Yep.
He's just
Okay.
trying to
Yep.
get it out there.
Could I expand on that,
please.
Doug? Would you mind?
Yeah.
I also want to be careful about the rhetoric we're using about the data's been pulled, because part of the third party coming in was to help make sure that that we're pulling the right data points and we're using them in the right way. So,
I mean, there's only two really data sets that we're looking at. We got DOR, the municipal gateway. They have all the information on the annual tax levies, the reserve levy capacity, all the things that frankly are benchmarks. And Department of Education, DESE, they have all the information on student-teacher ratios, the number of student enrollments. Like, we're just going to get it from state sources.
When does the new DESE?
But we talked about engaging the schools so that they weren't blindsided or that we were just pulling their data. Have you reached out to the school department and actually
I've asked,
talked about this summit?
Amy to coordinate meetings with the school business administrator and make sure that we share that information with them. So
you have talked to the school department, that's what you're saying?
I've asked Amy to, I haven't reached out to them.
Okay, well, it might make sense to reach out to the superintendent or whoever, because I don't want this to turn into a contentious issue, and I want the schools to have as much notice, and I want to partner with them and not just blindside them and say, we're pulling your numbers, we're pulling data, without actually talking to them.
Yeah, it's my intention that they would have an opportunity to present some of the information on the schools, and we would partner with them. We've done that in the past, and there's no reason why we wouldn't share those responsibilities.
When does the new DESE information come out? Does it come out mid-October or the first?
October 1st is a reporting deadline for student enrollments. I just don't know when they post it up on their website. Schedule 19s are usually, those are annually, at the end of the school year, so,
Their enrollment's it's not current. So it takes them, they pull SIMs 3 times a year. So it takes them,
But there's only one number that they actually count, though. Isn't that the number from October?
no. So they run that report, the SIMS report, Student Information Report, 3 times a year. So kids can enter the system at any point.
Yeah, they come and go.
So those enrollment numbers are fluid.
No,
They're
but I'm
not
talking
static.
about how are the finances that the state gives, those finances that the state gives are based on the number from October.
Yes,
Right.
but, and again, they could have more students enter after October, but you're still getting only X from the state. Right.
The October 1st
That's what I'm
number
trying to
is,
find.
is
October.
the,
The October-
is the snapshot. Every district in the Commonwealth
Right.
on October 1st presents the number of students they have in their system.
Okay.
Housing. So just want to put in another plug. Swampscott for All Ages is hosting a housing series. Had their first session 2 nights ago. I'd encourage people, there was a huge turnout, like 50 people came, and really interesting, different perspectives from different organizations came and talked about different ways to age in place. That's what that session was about. There'll be 3 other sessions, one on September 30th about what is affordable housing, another on October 7th about accessory dwelling units, another one on October 21st about really kind of details about financing the next steps. I think people were really, a lot of light bulbs went off about different ways that people can stay here in town with home modifications or sharing their housing or different approaches. So it's obviously an important issue for a lot of people, and just want to raise that up again.
How are we advertising that?
I know Swampscott for All Ages, Senior Center, et cetera, is doing it.
It's on the town website and it's on Facebook.
Our Facebook. What about all those other Facebook things?
Oh, like Times and Nest and stuff like that? That's not,
That I don't know, I can share it with them.
You can post,
If it's on the town's
you can
Facebook
post
page,
or
I
you,
mean,
yeah, we could,
Yeah.
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 We could show you, Diane,
No, I can
I
do
bet
that,
she
I
knows
can't do Instagram.
the gram.
Okay.
Lastly, Sean mentioned the Glover. So, the governor, Lieutenant Governor put out a kind of a massive press release and initiative about Rev 250 here in the state.
Rode a horse, yeah.
What's that?
She rode a horse down up at the Capitol.
Oh, I didn't know that.
She did?
Okay. I could go on and with a lot of really incredible points that she makes about how important this is, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we are sitting here in Swampscott with a jewel that is rotting away, and we have a landowner who we've been trying to work with, and it is not going anywhere, despite incredible efforts. And so I just want to make sure everyone knows that we are sitting here while this is just frittering, okay, literally and figuratively. And I'm done being kind of like hopeful and patient about it, because like we're going to sit here and all feel like it was on our watch that this thing crumbled and nothing happened. If the landowner is listening, great. If other people are listening and know the landowner, great. But it is time for us to move, because it's not going to be something that we can do something about next year.
Doug, I appreciate, your passion for this. This is one of our nation's greatest treasures. I have met with the owner 2 weeks ago. I do believe he cares about, helping to preserve that history.
It's taken us 6 months with all of your incredible patience and diligence and respect and everything else to allow a tarp to go on this building. And it has still not happened, okay? It's ridiculous, okay? We're not trying to do anything that would be harmful to anybody. And we need cooperation, because that piece of property is sitting there in a delinquent state, and there are other things that we could be doing, and that we should be doing, and I'll ask us to start considering for any other property that would be sitting there in that derelict state. So it's time to move.
Appreciate that.
So can you just start making phone calls every
Oh, it sounds
day?
like we got to do more than phone
Tarp isn't
calls.
there.
I don't think
Tarp
he's
is
asking
there.
for phone calls.
I think we've
Yeah.
already made
But I
those
think
phone
we're
calls.
almost there, right?
You know, we've been, I think the frustrating part is that we've been almost there for
Years.
you know.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
And we've got to really, we need a partner. I think, you know, the goal here is that, you know, we can have a partner to help us. I think that is.
We're ready, willing, and able to do that, and it's not just about the house. There's so many other important things that
That's
need
right.
to happen there.
That's right.
The housing, other things need to happen there, but we can't wait around forever.
That's right. We're going to celebrate in 2 years the 250th anniversary of the Revolution, and we have literally one of the most important sites in this nation.
And we'll be holding a funeral at that spot, as opposed to a house raising at this rate. So.
I'm not sure whose funeral, but I'm not.
The house's
I don't-
funeral.
House's funeral, that was,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
I got
sorry.
it, I got what you were saying.
I got it.
I
Threw a few
understood.
of us off. All right, Danielle? Oh, hold on a minute. Are you
I'm done.
Are
Fine.
you Danielle?
Yes.
Doug, okay. Kudos to the school building committee. We attended, Katie and I, Doug, I think you attended too.
We were all there.
We're all there.
Were we all
I didn't
there? I don't
see
even
you
know.
there, but
I don't remember.
I saw you,
Sean was
right?
there.
I vouch for David.
Great event. It was wonderful to have so many community members there that were not even affiliated with the school or had kids in the district, and they were able to go in and take a look. Hats off to Max Casper, because I think he is just a gem and the most valuable asset in this town, the school department. He does everything, and he really did a great job, as did Lori Sanborn, and they are doing a wonderful job with dismissal now. They're getting it done in 10 minutes, so I think the residents are happier. I do still have concerns about the intersection that someone spoke on tonight, Atlantic and Humphrey. I mean, it still is a death trap, or whoever called it that, I agree, and it really does still need more attention. But that's all I have.
Okay, and for me, I just want to once again thank Nate Beisheim and Joe Dulett for bringing the select board meeting, and see you all in 2 weeks.
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
So moved?
we could vote
All in
first.
favor?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 She was just reading minds.
I'm just-
Thanks,
I'm looking at
Diane.
the clock. Thank you, Diane.
Thanks.
Joe.